the house.
Hey, it's Grant Napear for Village Financial Group. I have known broker owner Spencer Grimmenstein for 25 years, ever since he began his family-owned business. Whether it's a home equity line of credit or buying or selling a home, Spencer is a very creative financing specialist with access to private money. Check out Village Financial Group at bfgloans.com or call Spencer at 916-805-4868. Be sure and call for the investor special. And if you go to their website, bfgloans.com, you can find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. Folks, Spencer is awesome. Trust me. Again, I've known the guy since 2000. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. Call 916-805-4868.
Homeowners, the 30% federal tax credit for solar and green energy ends December 31st. Let me say that again. The 30% federal tax credit for solar and green energy ends December 31st. If you've been procrastinating about your home's solar addition, stop. Call locally owned Gabroods Services and schedule your solar appointment today. Gabroods is the recognized Northern California specialist for everything electrical, panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, and especially residential solar installation. Gabroods experts do it all, and they do it right the first time. The 30% federal tax credit ends soon. Stop procrastinating. Call Gabroods and schedule your appointment for solar now. Family owned and operated for 30 years. Visit Gabroods.com. Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabroods.com.
Hey, come on in.
Hi,
Guys.
Jack, in our subdivision?
Yeah, I saw your Suburban out front, so I thought I'd see how your kitchen and bath remodel was going.
We're delayed.
Oh, watch your step.
Waiting on subs.
Contractors?
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't go with Kitchen Mart?
No, why?
What?
Nothing. That's just why we went with Kitchen Mart. They don't use subs.
No subs?
No subs?
You know, with the exception of something very specialized, Kitchen Mart does everything in-house so they can finish on time and on budget. So your cabinets,
Sub.
countertops,
Subbed.
plumbing,
Subbed.
drywall,
Subbed,
electric,
subbed.
and your contractor pulled permits, right? That's the law.
Was he supposed to?
Well,
You mean supposed to?
What'd I say?
Sub.
Sub?
sub.
Remodeling your kitchen or bath? 20,000 ecstatic customers agree. No subs means Kitchen Mart's in-house designers, craftsmen, and installers do it right and finish on time and on budget. Kitchen Mart, with 2 showrooms in Sacramento and Rockland. Call 362-7080 or go to kitchenmart.net for a free home appointment.
Kitchen and bath, no one does it better than Kitchen Mart.
The most trusted name in kitchen and bath remodeling since 1976.
The voice of Sacramento sports is back.
Hear Grant Napear every weekday beginning at 3 right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Grant's back, and here to win. It's the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Radio Sacramento. Now, Grant Napear.
What a week. What a week we have, and what a way to get it started. A doubleheader in Monday Night Football, Game 7, with the M's and the J's from T.O. Yes, basketball, the NBA begins tomorrow. The Kings on Wednesday in Phoenix. We've got a little bit of everything. College football, Saturday. The NFL yesterday. Why don't we start with the 49ers? 5 up and 2 down, and they just find ways to win when they're shorthanded. I thought this was a good spot for them with Atlanta coming off a Monday night win, short week, traveling out west. I thought this was a good spot for them, and I like the way they reacted. Listen, I think we know this. Losing Fred Warner and Nick Bosa is going to be a real problem as you move on in the season. But if they should lose Christian McCaffrey, see you later. Goodbye. Bye-bye. You can stick a fork in them. I mean, what McCaffrey did yesterday, or last night, I should say, against the Atlanta Falcons is absolutely incredible. I mean, the guy's tremendous, is he not? I mean, running the football, catching, coming out of the backfield. He doesn't ever seem to drop a pass, run after catch. I mean, he's Mr. Everything for them. So the 49ers get the win 20-10 and 5 up and 2 down. They've already won divisional games against the Rams and against the Seahawks, so keep that in mind. They got to play them one more time. But, boy, there's a lot to like. But look at McCaffrey. 24 carries, 129 yards. 7 catches, 72 yards. I mean, that's just big time. That's just big time. There's just no other way to say it. That is big time for the 49ers. So they're 5-2. I don't think the Niners are going to be a threat in the playoffs, assuming they get to the playoffs, because I just don't think defensively they're going to be able to hold up. When they play the really good teams, I don't see it. But we know they're supremely coached on defense with Robert Saleh. That's a heck of a job by McCaffrey, and just keep going, right? Build up the wins, because you never know. You never know. And then if you are a Raiders fan, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. Did you see the team stats in the embarrassing, pathetic 31-0 loss against Kansas City? I mean, this is almost impossible, right? Unless you're playing in a torrential blizzard, rainstorm, whatever. You know what I mean? Like this would be really hard. I got to read these stats to you, and I'm not in the stats that much, but this tells you everything you need to know if you didn't see the game. You ready for this? I mean, and this is not a misprint. I'm not going to come back and go, wow, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I was looking at a fake account. All right. First downs, 30 for Kansas City, 3 for the Raiders. Passing first downs, 2 for the Raiders. Rushing first downs, 0. Third down efficiency, 0 of 7. Fourth down efficiency, 0 for 1. You ready for this? Total plays and total yards. This is almost like an NFL team playing against a college team. 434 yards for the Chiefs, 95 yards of total offense for the Raiders. 30 total plays to 77. Can I just stop right there? Are you kidding me or what? How embarrassing is that? I mean, that's pathetic. And I'm really surprised because I thought you would see more from the Raiders this year with Pete Carroll there. But you know what? It's the same dysfunctional, terrible team. I mean, it really is. And to make matters worse, you see Max Crosby go down, and you're just like, wow. The Chiefs, meanwhile, they get their mojo going. They got Rashee Rice back. They just completely were going up and down the field at will. It was a joke. I mean, you didn't even have to put Mahomes in the fourth quarter. Rice, by the way, 7 catches for 42 yards, his first game since last year in week 4. But, I mean, again, the Raiders. And listen, you can say what you want about Max Crosby, but that doesn't affect your offense. Pathetic. And what's the deal with Ashton Genty? Why is he only getting the ball 6 times? Like, explain that to me. He gets 6. I know you're down. I know, but I mean, really? 6 times for 21 yards? You got to be kidding me. How do you explain that? 3 first downs in an NFL game? Are you kidding me? How about the first half? Did you see the first half, or did you get too ill and you were too sick to make it past halftime? The advantage in first downs at the half, again, you cannot make this up. 21-2. The total yards in the first half, 275 to 51. Think about that for a minute. 275 to 51. You can't be serious. You can't be serious. It's embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. Just pathetic. They're just pathetic. All right, now to the Giants game against the Broncos. The Giants are a team that doesn't know how to win yet. That's 3 games this year, 2 in particular, where they've had the lead with 30 seconds left and lost both games. At Dallas week 2 and Denver yesterday. So you're up 26-8 with under 6 minutes to go, and you lose the game, and you can talk about a rookie mistake at quarterback, or you can talk about coaching. I'm going to go with coaching because they're much better with Jackson Dart at quarterback than anyone else they've had at quarterback since Eli Manning. Now, you could say, well, look how good Daniel Jones is playing with the Colts. Maybe it's the organization, blah, blah, blah. Well, at least Dart's got a better offensive line than Jones had. But yes, okay, we can get into that conversation down the road. So you're up 26-8 with less than 6 minutes left, and you lose the game. You lose the game, really, on 2 plays. You lose the game, and as former Giant running back Tiki Barber stated it so well on WFAN radio in New York with his tirade after the game, you have the football. You're up 2 possessions. 2. Okay? You're up 2 possessions. You have a third down and little less than 5, a little more than 4. All you need to do is run the ball, whether you make the first down or not, and make Denver use their last timeout. Punt the ball down the field. I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe they run it back for a touchdown, but the chances of that are unlikely. To that point, Denver had not come up with a big play all day on offense. And by big play, I'm talking about yardage. You punt the ball. You make them go the length of the field with no timeouts. And then the only way they can win is to get an onside kick in all likelihood, which is, again, a very low practicality. Broncos win 33-32. And I don't know how Brian Dable retains his job after this year. And I don't know how Shane Bowen today, on Monday, is still the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants. Did you see the first down play with 30 seconds left by the Denver Broncos? Did you see that pitiful job by the Giants defense? I mean, they rush 3. They give Bo Nix just all the time in the world to spot a receiver, and that was the big play on the drive. Again, there are certain teams that know how to win. The 49ers are a team that knows how to win. They just do. They know how to win. The Giants, they know how to lose. Now, if you're asking me as a person that roots for that team, my overall picture, I'm okay with it. Because they have finally their franchise quarterback. There's no doubt in my mind. They're going to have another good draft pick next year. They fixed their offensive line to a degree. But listen, it all starts with the quarterback. They have a franchise quarterback. I've seen enough to say that he's the real deal. You wouldn't say that with the Raiders, right? They don't have a quarterback. You wouldn't say that with the Jets, would you? Another embarrassing performance at home, 13-6. Embarrassing. And then what about the Colts, who was they were at the top of my top 5 last week, and they'll give you a little secret tomorrow. They'll still be number 1 on my top 5. 38-24 against the Chargers, who did not have Joe Alt back, had 2 offensive linemen out, and the Colts completely took advantage of all of that. 38-24. 38-24. You know, if you look at the stats, you're like, wow, wasn't that lopsided? I mean, the Chargers had 445 yards to 401 for the Colts. They had more first downs. They had almost a 10-minute advantage in time of possession. But you know what? The Colts didn't make any mistakes. The Chargers did. Talk about turnovers. That's the story. 38-24. And if you don't believe in the Colts, you probably should. You know why? They're 6-1. They're 6-1. They have Jonathan Taylor. He had 3 touchdowns. Daniel Jones, 288, 2 scores. I mean, and how about Taylor? Did you see the runs that he had? He had 3 touchdowns. I think, what was it, 23? The other one was 19 and then 8 yards. He didn't even get touched. They have a really, really good offensive line. They have a really good offensive line. But, boy, again, if you're not a believer in the Colts, be a believer. Good thing that Micah Parsons is on the Green Bay Packers because they don't win that game without Micah. He was incredible against the Cardinals, 27-23. It was not a thing of beauty. Green Bay had a nightmare getting to Arizona. They had a 5-hour delay trying to leave Green Bay. Like, it was like a trip from hell, so to speak. But you know what they did? They got the win. They're 4-1-1 in such a very difficult division. And they were down. They were down 10 points. But it was Micah Parsons on defense, Josh Jacobs on offense. The Packers go ahead with under 2 minutes left. Parsons, 3 sacks. He was all over the field. But he's not good enough for the Dallas defense, so let's send him over to Green Bay. Dallas's offense is really, really good this year. Really good. They can score with anybody. And they did score big time yesterday. 44-22 over Washington. And, you know, Dallas is hanging around there 3-3-1. The problem with 3-3-1, and I say problem, is when you look at the standings right now in the NFC, all right, if you look at the NFC, Philadelphia's got a record of 5-2. That tie is going to really hurt. Going to really hurt Dallas. They have to play Philly again. You look at Green Bay, 4-1-1, but Detroit plays tonight 4-2. Chicago now is 4-2. Tampa 5-1. We know about the game tonight. Carolina all of a sudden has got 4 wins, including the tiebreaker over Dallas. So keep that in mind. And then you have the Niners and the Rams at 5-2 and Seattle 4-2. So, you know, Dallas, because of that tie, that's going to put them in a really difficult position. Really difficult position. All right, let's talk a little NBA. Wednesday, game 1 of 82 for the Kings. We'll have a lot of sound coming from today's practice at Golden One Center, courtesy of Rhino, coming up a little bit later in the show. And we can talk about all of these things, by the way. 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. You can also text the show with that same number again, 779-0929. All right, so game 1 of 82. If I had told you at the beginning of training camp that the Kings would start the season without Keegan Murray and Domantas Sabonis, you would go Disastersville, right? That's what you would be thinking. And so you're going to start at least games 1 and 2 at Phoenix Wednesday, back home Friday for the Jazz. Almost everyone have these two teams, the Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz, projected to be below Sacramento in the standings. Then you have the Lakers coming in, no LeBron. And then you hit the road for 4 games. And the schedule from that point forward until you turn the calendar to just about December is brutal. Now, assuming that Sabonis only misses 2 games, let's say he misses 3, but let's say he misses 2 to 3 games. The part of the schedule early on that you looked at as a chance to really gain a little bit of feel good, if I can use that term, was the beginning of the season when you look at Phoenix, not projected to be very good, although I personally think they're going to be better than a lot of people do. The Jazz, I think most feel, will be the worst team in the West. And then the Lakers, I think they're pretty good, not great, no LeBron. So here we are, 2 days from right now. Phoenix, without Murray and Sabonis. Utah, no Murray, no Sabonis. And hopefully on Sunday, Sabonis comes back. Then you're at Oklahoma City. The next night, you're at Chicago. The good news is it looks like Kobe White won't play. At Milwaukee, who knows about the Bucks? At Denver. And then you come home and play Golden State, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, Denver, and Atlanta. I hate to be pessimistic. I hate to be negative. You could go 0-5 on that homestand. All those teams are better than you by a country mile. And we can't forecast injuries, but that is a daunting homestand. Warriors, Thunder, Timberwolves, Nuggets, Hawks. So if you do stumble coming out of the gate, and if you do, it's going to be because we're looking at Keegan Murray and Sabonis not in the lineup. Boy, oh boy. If these first 3 games do not go your way, you're going to be in a hole that is just too deep, in my opinion, to climb out of. And yes, I'm well aware there's 82 games, and I'm well aware that the schedule in March looks a lot easier, but you may not be alive when you get to March. You may not be alive when you get to Thanksgiving. And that's where we're at, okay? That's where you're at. This is going to be very interesting to see how they are able to withstand no Murray and no Sabonis for the first couple of games. Certainly far from ideal. Certainly far from ideal. Hey, folks, I want to talk to you about Village Financial Group and their broker owner and Spencer, who I really met right when he opened his family-owned business. And if you're looking for a home equity line of credit, maybe you're buying a home, selling a home, Spence is unbelievably experienced. He does it all. He is a very, very creative financing specialist. He also has access to private money. Call Spence or text him. He's fine with that. 916-805-4868. And be sure and ask about the investor special. And if you go to their website, vfgloans.com, you can find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. 916-779-0929. Monday, doubleheader, Monday Night Football of Game 7. Who's going to the World Series? The Kings, and more right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Hey, come on in.
Hi,
Guys.
Jack, in our subdivision?
Yeah, I saw your Suburban out front, so I thought I'd see how your kitchen and bath remodel was going.
We're delayed.
Oh, watch your step.
Waiting on subs.
Contractors?
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't go with Kitchen Mart?
No, why?
What?
Nothing. That's just why we went with Kitchen Mart. They don't use subs.
No subs?
No subs?
You know, with the exception of something very specialized, Kitchen Mart does everything in-house so they can finish on time and on budget. So your cabinets,
Sub.
countertops,
Subbed.
plumbing,
Subbed.
drywall,
Subbed,
electric,
subbed.
and your contractor pulled permits, right? That's the law.
Was he supposed to?
You mean supposed to?
What'd I say?
Sub.
Sub?
Sub.
Remodeling your kitchen or bath? 20,000 ecstatic customers agree. No subs means Kitchen Mart's in-house designers, craftsmen, and installers do it right and finish on time and on budget. Kitchen Mart, with 2 showrooms in Sacramento and Rockland. Call 362-7080 or go to kitchenmart.net for a free home appointment.
Kitchen and bath, no one does it better than Kitchen Mart.
The most trusted name in kitchen and bath remodeling since 1976.
Tired of the same old routine? Need a place where the beer flows and the good times roll? Then head to Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Family owned and operated, so you know you'll feel right at home. Catch all your favorite games on 18 big screens while enjoying amazing food. And with 28 beers on tap, you're sure to find something you love. And don't miss everyday happy hour from 3 to 7 and again from 10 till close. Looking for more than just the game? Trivia Tuesday starts at 7 p.m. And there's Mario Kart and bingo nights for even more fun, too. There's always a blast happening at Fieldhouse. Whether you're looking for a place to watch the game, grab a bite with the family, or just unwind with friends, Fieldhouse is the place to be. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Bring it to the house.
Great if life came with a remote control. You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
All right, back with you here on the Grant Napear Show, 916-779-0929. Game 7 tonight in Toronto. Who will take on the Dodgers in the World Series? How about that pitching staff for the Dodgers? How about Shohei Ohtani? I mean, seriously, how about him? Unbelievable. All right, let's get to a few calls. Why don't we start with Bill in Citrus Heights? Bill, welcome to the show.
Yes, Grant. Mentioning Shohei Ohtani, that was the most magnificent performance I've ever seen an athlete in a team sport. 10 strikeouts.
I don't know if I would say ever in a team sport, but I think he's the best player in Major League Baseball today. And I think if you had every team say they could take one player to start a team, I think every team would take Shohei Ohtani.
Well, I'm saying the best performance in a single game ever in a team sport. Maybe you can come up with a different one, but to sit there and strike out. First 3 batters, he strikes out, and then he followed up with a home run.
It's unbelievable. He was incredible. He's must-see TV for a sport that's dying. He's put baseball back on the map in terms of the people that are kind of, now, you know what? Everyone wants to watch Shohei Ohtani when he comes up. Like if you're thinking, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm hungry. Or Shohei's coming up. I'm not going anywhere. Like he has that type of presence.
I've never been a Dodger fan, but I was just respect and in awe. It just that I saw magnificence in that game.
It is a magnificent player and the best player in Major League Baseball today. And I don't even really think that's debatable. He's the best all-around baseball player. He might be the greatest player of all time when he retires. I mean, we could look back and say we just watched the greatest player ever to play Major League Baseball. That's how good he is. Thank you very much, Bill. Appreciate your phone call. Good way to start us off, Bill. Let's get to Corn Dog right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Grant. It is beautiful Monday here in California, and this playoff race for the NFL is actually really looking very competitive, especially
very
on
much
the
so.
NFC side. Like
very
the
much
NFC,
so.
You have a lot of quality teams here. The Rams, the Seahawks, Niners, the Bucks, Lions, Packers, Eagles, and honestly, the Bears now have actually looked really good as late too. That's about 8-9 teams deep.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to put them in that tier, but yes, they have looked better. They've now gotten their act together. They've now learning how to win games instead of lose games, and that's what I talk about. Young teams turning the corner, and they're starting to turn the corner. And if you're a Bears fan, you haven't been able to say that in a long time. So yeah, that's a good point. And listen, they have only 2 losses, and if Detroit loses tonight, wow, then all of a sudden that division is going to be super tight.
Yeah, it is very tight. There's not a lot of room for error as we're hitting that midway point right about now. And Bears have figured out how to run the ball now with Swift and their new guy, Kyle, trying to get a duo going there like Ben Johnson that he used to like doing in Detroit with Montgomery and Gibbs. Carolina actually still looks pretty good to me.
4-3.
Yeah, I still think that they could sneak up on a team if they allow it. The Vikings are still a good team, even though they're the bottom at their division.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Here's the better way of talking about the NFC. Other than maybe New Orleans, who's 1-6, and Arizona's 2-5, but Arizona's been in a lot of games that they've lost. Even the Giants now, look like they're going to be formidable in terms of you better be ready to play them or they'll beat you. There are no bad teams in the NFC other than maybe the Saints. In the AFC, Tennessee's a bad team. The Raiders are a bad team. Baltimore's a bad team. I know Cleveland won, but they're a bad team. All right. You have Houston. I don't think they're in the AFC. You've got a lot of bad teams. Now, they may have the best teams. They may have a team that ends up winning the Super Bowl, but they have more subpar teams than the NFC does.
Yeah, Jets and Dolphins also come to mind there as well. It is. I almost feel like the AFC playoff teams might be set already, which is kind of shocking to say, but it's just been, like a lot of good and a lot of bad coming from the AFC. And yeah, the NFC, like I wouldn't want to play the Giants right now. Yeah, I might think I could beat them, but Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo are no joke, and the Giants are actually playing solid defense too.
All right, I have a question. How is Mike McDaniel still the head coach of the Miami Dolphins? What a dysfunctional franchise, and his press conferences are embarrassing. Then we saw what Tua said after getting benched, and he should have. He was terrible. But that team has no direction. The Miami Dolphins, they may be the worst team in the NFL this year, and I think that they have no leadership. They're rudderless. They're a disaster. They're an absolute disaster in Miami.
Yeah, the thing is, with a lot of bad teams, it's usually, they're a young team. They have a new coach. There's a lot of Miami Dolphins. This has been a team. They have Tua. They have Jalen Waddle. They have Tyreek Hill. They have Devon A-Chain. Like, there should be some sort of an identity with this team, but there's nothing.
Well, they announced today, Mike McDaniel, that Tua is still the starting quarterback. But, I mean, he's been terrible. He's been absolutely terrible. Seriously.
Yeah, he's had a lot of injury issues. No excuses, but he's just he's also an injury-riddled quarterback. He was a smaller quarterback, and maybe it's just time to move on and you find your next guy.
Appreciate the phone call, buddy. Have a good one. This text message: Ohtani, imagine Reggie Jackson pitching a shutout after hitting those 3 home runs in the World Series. I can imagine it, but he didn't do it. He didn't even come on the field. All right. Shohei Ohtani, first of all, Reggie Jackson's not in the conversation as greatest baseball players of all time. So, like, he's not even in the conversation. You have a player that is doing something that we've never seen since really Babe Ruth, if you want to go back in history. He is a leadoff man, starting pitcher, is able to do so many things. But what he does for the Dodgers and what he does for Major League Baseball, and I put a tweet out on this. I mean, we're in 2025, the best player in baseball, and I don't even think it's debatable. It's debatable, but it's not arguable, is Shohei Ohtani, Japanese. The 2 best players in the NBA are, depending on whether you have them 1-2 or 2-1, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic, Canada and Serbia, respectively. I mean, it's amazing how sports around the globe has changed over the last couple of years, right? Especially in basketball. Yeah, you would have never thought that you would make a statement that the best players in the NBA are not American-born players. Just win it. Just win it. All right, again, if you want to call the show, 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. But to go back to Corn Dog, there are a lot of bad teams in the NFL, but most of them, almost all of them, are in the AFC. Whereas if you look at the NFC, I mean, the Giants have shown over the last 2 weeks that, they're not going to be like you can just stomp on them. The Saints, as bad as they are, and they are bad, they're 1-6, and they did beat the Giants thanks to 5 turnovers. But, when you look at the Saints, think about their scores that they've lost: 20-13, 26-21. They got thumped in Seattle. Buffalo beat them 31-19. but then beat the Giants, lost to New England only by 6 in a tough game. Yesterday, they lose 26-14. You know, it's again, they're the worst team in the NFC record-wise. But I don't think that they're chopped liver like Miami's chopped liver and the Raiders and some other teams in the AFC. Someone asked me, best European NBA player of all time. Well, I don't know if we could answer that question right now because Luka Doncic is still in the prime of his career. Dirk Nowitzki is near the top of that list. Tony Parker is near the top of that list. And again, Luka is still in the prime of his career. He's going to have to win a championship or two to take that moniker. But there are a lot of really good European players of all time. Will we be talking that way about Victor Wembanyama when he's done with his career? Will we look and say that he's the best European player of all time? I mean, we might. So I think that's going to be a question that we look back on maybe 10 years from now and have a completely different take than we may today. I mean, if you're asking me today, based on a complete career, I would say Dirk Nowitzki. I know he's got one championship. Tony Parker's got multiple, but Parker also played with Tim Duncan. He played with Manu Ginobili, started with David Robinson, right? I mean, so I think when you look at the San Antonio Spurs and the nucleus that he had around him, but he's in the conversation. I've never even thought about that. Best European NBA player of all time. You know, obviously early on, you had Arvydas Sabonis, but he didn't get into the NBA until later in his career. You had the impact of Drazen Petrovic and Vlade Divac. And then they opened up the floodgates for European players. I'll never forget when Dallas made the trade to acquire Dirk Nowitzki for Robert Tractor Trailer. And Don Nelson was destroyed in Dallas when he made that trade. And think about what Nowitzki did for that franchise. Think about what Dirk's impact was in that city with the Dallas Mavericks. He completely turned around their franchise. You know, Nelly got destroyed for that deal. No one had, seriously, Milwaukee had drafted Nowitzki. Nobody ever even heard of Nowitzki. We didn't even know how to pronounce his name. Everybody was Nowitzki. Seriously, nobody even could pronounce his name. It's like when the Kings drafted Peja Stojakovic. Nobody knew how to pronounce his name. I don't even think Jeff Petrie knew how to pronounce his name. I mean, it's just the reality of the situation. I mean, you didn't even hear of them, but you didn't even know how to pronounce their name for crying out loud. That was the case when they acquired Dirk Nowitzki from the Milwaukee Bucks in a trade, and the Mavericks fans were like, what are you kidding me? What are we doing? And it ended up being the best trade in the history of the Dallas Mavericks. Well, I remember that time really well. I remember it really, really well. And how that completely started the rebirth. You know, you look at trades, the rebirth of an organization. Think about what the Monte Ellis trade meant for the Golden State Warriors. Think about that deal. How bad was that deal? Joe Lacob got booed off the floor at center court at the Chris Mullins ceremony. That's how bad that was. You traded Monte Ellis. You traded our best player for Andrew Bogut. Are you kidding me? And that really opened up the door for the greatness that became the Golden State Warriors. That deal started it all. That was the deal that turned around the franchise. You know, it's interesting to go back and look at trades and what impact they had on a franchise. Look at the Billy Owens trade for Mitch Richmond that Jerry got destroyed for, particularly by the Bay Area media. They never want to come back and say, wow, Jerry was right and we were wrong. That never happened. But at the time, you traded Billy Owens for Mitch Richmond. And I wouldn't say that Mitch turned around the Kings franchise, but he did get him into the playoffs and was a multiple-time All-Star and put Sacramento, for all intents and purposes, on the map in terms of at least, well, you got Mitch Richmond now. And then you traded Mitch to get Chris Webber. Think about that one trade and the impact on a franchise. We will talk more about this. What a busy Monday. Kings Wednesday. Here's my question, and we're going to talk to Rhino about this because he was out at Kings practice today when we come back. So what are your expectations? We really haven't talked about that. What are you expecting from the Kings this year? I think it's going to be a disaster. I think they're going to have a terrible year, and I think it's going to be an ugly year. That's what I think. What do you think? 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. But I do think at the end of the year, you're going to say, wow, we have a really special player in Nick Clifford. Max Reynaud looks like he can play. We've got some pieces, and if they can draft well, then maybe you can start a run to the playoffs every year. But I think that will be the talk at the end of the year. But going through the year, I think it's going to be a disaster. We'll talk about that when we come back right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic, crash free for your Monday afternoon drive on the Cap City Freeway. And both ways, traffic is moving well in between I-80 and Howe Avenue. I-5 west side from 50 to the Eisenhower Freeway, no problems to report. And I-5 east from the 113 connection to 99. You are moving with the no delays. Looking at Highway 51 near Exposition Boulevard, dry roads and light volumes. With twice an hour traffic, I'm KT on Fox Sports Sacramento.
For more than 4 decades, Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort has been trusted by home and business owners for their professional expertise in heating, air conditioning, and solar energy. Your home is your castle, and at Sierra Pacific, we thank you for 40 great years of trusting us to protect your castle. Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort, solar, heating, and air. SierraPacificHome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air. The guys in the big red trucks.
Downtown Ford of Sacramento is celebrating the fall by getting you equipped for a winter road trip. And if you're headed up 50 or 80 into those gorgeous Sierras, get there safely in a new or certified pre-owned 4x4 from Downtown Ford. Our lot on Howe Avenue is loaded with super clean pre-owned trucks and SUVs ready for the snow. F-150s, Rangers, Explorers, and the super hot Ford Maverick. And if there's a particular type of vehicle you've dreamed of owning someday, Downtown Ford probably has a used version of that same vehicle for a substantially lower price. Downtown Ford backs our pre-owned vehicles with an available 10-year, 100,000-mile extended service contract. We're the oldest Ford dealership in California, and we're super proud of our heritage of providing great American Ford cars and trucks to the people of Sacramento for more than a century. Visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Homeowners, the 30% federal tax credit for solar and green energy ends December 31st. Let me say that again. The 30% federal tax credit for solar and green energy ends December 31st. If you've been procrastinating about your home's solar addition, stop. Call locally owned Gabroods Services and schedule your solar appointment today. Gabroods is the recognized Northern California specialist for everything electrical, panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, and especially residential solar installation. Gabroods experts do it all, and they do it right the first time. The 30% federal tax credit ends soon. Stop procrastinating. Call Gabroods and schedule your appointment for solar now. Family owned and operated for 30 years. Visit Gabroods.com. Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabroods.com.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. That's 800-598-0539.
Nine 916-779-0929 to get on the show or text the show. What a busy day for Rhino. This morning had Grayson Waller, WWE superstar, in studio. Then you went out to practice. Not a bad day for you, buddy.
Yeah, another day in paradise, Napes.
Yeah. What was it like talking to Waller?
It was really interesting. A lot of great insight just about their routines and the way the business is headed, and just the crowd involvement and how important it is to the shows that they do. And he's got a great head on him. Really, really good head. He's going to have some success definitely in his future.
All right, before we talk about the Kings, you heard my NFL segment. Want to add or disagree with anything?
Yeah. Remember when we had Joe D on the show? And he said, I think it was Folsom or some school was getting letters from other schools saying, look, we just can't even play. We can't even compete. So let this serve as our letter saying as much. I'm thinking the Raiders, the Dolphins.
Yeah.
They might want to hit ChatGPT up and maybe draft something along those lines for the rest of the NFL.
Oh, you were at practice yesterday for the Russell Westbrook press scrum, and then you were out there today. And the big question is, what will the front line look like on Wednesday? Because you don't have Keegan Murray and you don't have Domantas Sabonis. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Drew Eubanks will certainly be a part of the front line. And then you ask where that second piece is going to be. Is it going to be a Dario Saric, who I think it probably will be, or excuse me, Saric, as G-Man educated us on Friday night. I think probably those two guys. You could see other players, younger players, getting some work up with Bobby Jackson around the paint, Dylan Cardwell, one of them. But I would expect that to be your starting lineup.
See, here's the biggest issue going forward. When I mean going forward, we're not talking about for a long period of time, because Sabonis is not expected to miss that much time.
Yeah.
But if you look at the first two games, your depth is really shallow now on the front line.
Yeah.
Because the players that you just mentioned, we don't really know. They don't have NBA experience for all intents and purposes. I'm talking about legitimate speaking. Like, so the first two do. But then when you get done with it, assuming that Saric does start with Eubanks, well, then after that, it's a crapshoot.
It is. I wouldn't be surprised. Let me retract that. I think actually I failed to mention Isaac Jones. Drew Eubanks talked about how they play a little bit faster with him on the floor. I think Isaac might get that starting nod too. It's going to be between the two of them, and then either one coming off the bench certainly will help. But past that, Grant, yes, it will be a crapshoot. You will get good minutes and you will get bad minutes some nights should Doug need to go that deep.
Well, you don't know what you're going to get from Isaac Jones. I mean, it's not like you can say as a coach, well, I'm starting Isaac Jones and I know what he's going to give me. No, you don't.
No.
So there's big question marks. Whereas with Sabonis, you know what you get every single night. Like it doesn't change.
100%. I think we can sit here and say now after 4 preseason games, Max Reno is towards the back end of that rotation. Would you agree?
I would agree. I mean, how would we not agree based on his minutes played and how he was used in the preseason? I would think his development, and I'm not panicking, I'm not getting concerned, is a little bit behind what maybe we thought it would when training camp started.
I would agree with you. Just needs a little bit more time, and we thought he would need more time than Neek. Neek is getting glowing reviews from the coaches,
everybody,
the veterans. We'll play some audio for you a little bit later today in the 4 and 5 o'clock hours from practice. One thing of note, Dennis Schroeder was a participant only in drills that did not involve contact today. If you remember, he had the foot issue from Friday night.
Okay.
But they were scrimmaging and getting up and down the court. They were competing. Russ had a beautiful dime after Keon nailed a 3. So we'll get all into that in the audio here in the next couple hours.
Okay, so who are we going to hear from? Run down the list. Who will we hear from today?
We're going to hear from Russ. We'll get a couple. We'll get at least one Russ drop in some context to what he had to say. And today, DeMar DeRozan, Coach Christie, and Drew Eubanks.
Gotcha. And a Phoenix team that is down a starter in Jalen Green, but a Phoenix team that has some legitimate concerns if you are Sacramento. We'll get into that a little bit more tomorrow and Wednesday. Listen, I'm not anointing the Suns as like some great team. All right, I'm not going there, but I think they're better and going to be better than a lot of the NBA forecasts when I look at their lineup. I don't think they're as bad as a lot of people make them out to be. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I see it.
I'm with you as well. They're much more balanced of a basketball team. Now, the skill level all across the board might not be as good, but that's not necessarily a bad thing when you have a guy like Devin Booker.
And we know Booker, I mean, he's one of those very special players. Although, Zach LaVine can do the same thing. When these guys get hot, they really can't be guarded.
Yeah, LaVine has had a tremendous preseason and training camp. You got to hope that continues over into the regular season. So you were talking about expectations.
Yes.
What are your expectations?
I think this team's going to be in the mid-30s in terms of wins. I just don't like anything that's coming out of – there's one thing I've really liked coming out of training camp, and that's Nick Clifford. Like, I think that they hit on that. I think Scott Perry found himself a gem with that particular pick. But these pieces don't fit. Can everyone in the country be wrong when discussing the Sacramento Kings? They've already had bad luck on the injury front. We haven't even played one game.
Yeah.
Is that kind of a forecast of what we're going to see? It's going to be one of those snake bit type of years. I mean, it's already started off very poorly. I think you're going to get in a situation with the schedule being so brutal in November that this is going to be too big of a hole to climb out of. And then at that point, I think the vets will go into their agents and say, get me out of here. I think it's just going to be a very difficult season. I hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong with my forecast before, but I don't think I'm wrong. But I think it's going to be a really, really long year.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It is in the immediate if you're looking at just this season, but that also means that guys like Neek are going to get more run. A guy that you and I have talked about constantly, Keon Ellis. For me, my expectations are not so much balanced on wins and losses. When we get through this season, I want to not have the question, is this a guy that's part of the foundation moving forward? I want those pieces to have gotten enough minutes and played well enough for this organization and the fan base to clearly see Keon Ellis, you got to have him. I think Neek Clifford, we already pretty unanimous, and I think the front office is as well about where he's going to be as the future goes on. In fact, DeMar DeRozan had something very strong to say about Neek Clifford. And we already locked up Keegan. We know that. But is there anybody else that's going to step up and into that group? And are the Kings going to get rid of guys that you could possibly use in the future, i.e. a Devin Carter?
Well, as of right now, unless there's an injury that pops up, I don't know how Keon Ellis is going to be on the floor long enough to achieve what you and me and so many other Kings fans want him to do. That is one of my biggest reasons for not being on board with Russell Westbrook. It doesn't make any sense to me on this team. I mean, I just don't know why you wouldn't want Keon Ellis to be one of your main guards. And right now with Schroeder and LaVine, who are going to start, and Malik Monk and Russell Westbrook, then you can't play five guards. No team in the league plays five guards. So how's that going to happen with Sacramento? Explain that to me, please.
Well, you can't, but we're also locking Russell Westbrook into 20 minutes a night. That might not be the case.
Well, I can tell you right now, you're going to have one ticked off Russell Westbrook if he's not playing 20 minutes a night, because he's accustomed to being on the floor, and that's what he was last year in Denver. His minutes were closer to 30 than they were 20, and it's not like he just became an old man overnight.
No.
And so, like, I don't see Russell Westbrook playing in the teens every night. I'd be very surprised. So even if he does, okay, so if you have Zach LaVine, he's going to be playing 35 minutes a night. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to be playing 35 minutes a night. Schroeder didn't come over here And you're not going to keep him happy if you're playing him in the 20s. So I think he's playing 30 minutes a night. All right, there's 48 minutes in a game. Malik Monk is your sixth man. He comes off the bench. And there were many nights that Malik is going to play in the 20s to high 20s and some nights 30.
Yeah.
It just is because that's the type of player he is. And so we haven't even gotten to Keon Ellis yet. There's only 48 minutes a game. So explain to me how Doug Christie is going to work all of this out and keep these guys content and happy. I just don't see it.
I understand. It is a difficult puzzle to try to put together mentally right now. I think what makes it a little bit harder, too, is the fact you're starting the season out without a full roster because it's going to open up opportunities for other people. And when the roster's healthy, you got somebody hot. How's that going to play into what you do going forward with everybody out there?
Hey, I want to spend a moment, talk to you about DAS Mechanical, HVAC retrofit and service specialist. They also do new systems, family owned and operated since 2018, serving Sacramento and Placer counties. And right now they have a special to make sure that you are good to go when the weather drops. Their winter maintenance check for $69. That's right, only $69. Make sure you're good to go during the cold months, which are right around the corner. And if you should get to a point where you need a new HVAC system, remember, there are up to $6,000 in rebates currently, including a $2,000 federal tax credit, but that is due to go away at the end of the year, so act now. And you need financing? How about these options, including 0% interest for 18 months? Go to dasmechanical.org. That's D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org. And be sure and look at their 5-star reviews and their numerous Best of the Best awards. You can schedule everything online. That's dasmechanical.org. And take advantage of that $69 winter maintenance check through the end of November. So what do you think for the Sacramento Kings, folks? We can talk about that. Opening day is coming up in 2 days, 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. We've got a lot of King Sound coming up. We've got a doubleheader in Monday Night Football. The first game figures to be the best with the Lions and the Bucks. And how about a Game 7 tonight in Toronto? Who's going to be taking on the LA Dodgers? Do you like the Mariners tonight? Do you like the Blue Jays tonight? What about home field? I think home field is important when you get to extra innings. And to me, I think the real key to this game is Seattle needs to score in the top of the first and make Toronto play from behind and really put the pressure on them. I think scoring first in a game of this magnitude is so important. And if you're Seattle and you can push a run across or two in the top of the first, I think that is big time. Absolutely big time. Going to be very interesting to see first pitch in that game a little more than 1 hour away. So we've got enough going on. What? 2 football games, a Game 7 in the American League Championship Series, Kings practice, Game 1 tomorrow in the NBA with a doubleheader, Game 1 for Sacramento in Phoenix, and then the place will be packed on Friday night as the Kings play their home opener against the Utah Jazz. What do you expect from the Kings in the 40th anniversary? Think about that. The 40th anniversary of the Sacramento Kings. I'll give you some of my favorite moments over 38 years because I wasn't here for the first 2, but 40 years in Sacramento, not a lot of playoff success, not a lot of playoff memories that you like, oh yeah, I want to talk about that over and over again. Lot to talk about. Hour 2 straight ahead. Grant Napear on Fox Sports Sacramento.
crash 99 southbound at 12th Avenue with you backed up to Broadway. Otherwise, problem free on 113 Vic Fazio Highway between I-5 and I-80. And no problems on Cap City Freeway in between I-80 and Jefferson Boulevard. Looking at Highway 51 near Exposition Boulevard, your dry roads. And traffic is picking up with the Monday afternoon drive with twice an hour traffic. I'm KT and Fox Sports Sacramento.
For nearly all of us, our home is our biggest investment. And just as important as what it looks like on the outside is what is happening on the inside. How long has it been since you had your home's electrical integrity checked? Whether your home is 10 or more years old or even a newer build, the safe rule of thumb is to get the electrical inspected at least every 5 years. At Gabrud's, electrical work is all we do. We're the area's recognized experts. Panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, solar, and more. But home inspections are what we do most often. Whether you have a difficult electrical situation or it's just time to ensure your home and family are safe. Call locally owned Gabrud's for our thorough 12-point expert inspection. Gabrud's, serving our Northern California neighbors for more than 30 years. Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabrud's.com.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. The holidays may feel far away, but the best dates are filling fast. At Bennett's, we make every celebration effortless. Host your holiday parties in our elegant private dining rooms, or let us bring the chef-crafted catering right into your home or office. From family dinners to company parties, our team delivers the flavors, service, and holiday magic your guests will remember. Secure your holiday celebration today with Bennett's at bennettsrestaurants.com.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit hqnightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Tell your friends. Grant's back. Grant Napear is back on the Sacramento airwaves right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst. K284 CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Moving right along in the second hour, right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Somebody watching on the stream on our YouTube page, Fox Sports Sacramento, mentioned Pau Gasol. You're right. I should have mentioned Pau. He's clearly one of the best European basketball players of all time. You're 100% correct. That was wrong of me not to mention him. I just simply forgot about him. We were doing this off the top of my head when I got that question. But, yeah, you'd have to put him up there in the conversation. An incredible career. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, speaking of incredible, it's hard to believe that it's been 40 years since the Sacramento Kings moved here from Kansas City. And I had Reggie Theus on the show Friday. And Reggie, of course, came with the Kansas City Kings when Greg Lukenbill bought the team and moved him here to Sacramento. And I always love talking to Reggie Theus, but I give you my memories. And there are so many memories that, like, the changes over 40 years, amazing. We used to fly commercial. All teams flew commercial. The team that was the first one to get their own airplane, the Detroit Pistons, and it was an old DC-9, very small plane. And they were the first to get their own jet. And then it was not that long after that flying commercial was going to go by the wayside. But when we used to fly commercial, because of Sacramento, there were only narrow-body aircraft from Sacramento. So regardless of where you were flying to, you were on a small plane. There were no wide-body aircraft coming in and out of Sacramento. And the way the first-class seats, and there were only generally 8 first-class seats on these small planes, went by seniority. So it didn't matter what your size was. If you were a rook and you were 7 feet tall, it didn't matter. You were going to sit in economy. That's just the way it was. And it didn't matter whether the flight was on 1 hour or 3 hours. You didn't normally go more than 3 hours because if you did, you had to switch planes. But that was an experience flying commercial because the NBA rule was that if you had a back-to-back, you had to be on the first flight out. And I remember the first game I did in Portland. I'll never forget it. 1988, game 1 of 82. And I remember going to Portland or going to LA or going to Utah or going to some of these other cities, and you would have to be on the first flight out. And if the first flight out was at 6 in the morning, NBA rules required that you be on that flight. So you'd play a game, right? And you're getting a wake-up call at 4 a.m., bag drop at 4:30, and you're at the airport. You're going through the airport. You're still sleeping, and you have to be on the plane to go back home or wherever the next game was, first flight in the morning. And those were some great memories, waiting at the gate, sometimes dealing with delays, and some of the jokes that the players would pull on one another. But boarding the plane and walking past a 7-footer in those tight economy seats, oh, that was brutal. That was brutal. Just the simplistic approach that professional sports had back then, which I miss greatly. I miss greatly. You had a head coach. You had one assistant coach, 2 at the very most, and that person would be like the equivalent of a graduate assistant. You had one trainer. You had one equipment manager. You had just a team that was much, much smaller in terms of numbers. And again, I miss that. I really do. I miss those days. I miss them as things continued to trend towards 3 assistant coaches, 4 assistant coaches, 5 assistant coaches, 6 assistant coaches, 2 trainers, 3 trainers, right? A staff that just continues to get bigger and bigger. And then analytics came into the forefront. And now organizations, even like Sacramento, has an entire analytics department that encompasses multiple people. And that's the case in all sports now. So you think about the trend since Sacramento moved here in 1985 and all professional sports. I mean, everything's changed, right? The automobile has changed. Our planes have changed. I mean, we get it, right? We have cell phones now. I mean, we get it, all right? That's part of life, evolution. Things change. But when I look at 40 years, and again, I was at the old Arco for the 3rd year, being there was unbelievable. I mean, it really was. There was nothing quite like walking into that building that Greg Lukenbill put up in record time to satisfy the NBA requirements as the other Arco was being built, 10,333. There was nothing like it in the NBA. And to this day, I don't know if there will ever be anything quite like that building, Arco 1. And being there for really a bad team, didn't matter. You couldn't get tickets. Going to an event at that building, and when I mean an event, a Kings game, was must-see. And you couldn't get tickets. I told you about the story I did when I was the sports director at Channel 31. And I went down with my cameraman to do a story when the single game tickets were made available. And there were people that had been sleeping out at the old Arco for 2 and 3 days. Tents, chairs, sleeping bags, all waiting for the chance to get a ticket to go to a game in that building. That's what it was like back then. Those tickets were like gold. And everyone wanted to go to a Kings game. It was an event. And it really didn't matter who was playing. But obviously, if the Celtics were coming in with Larry Bird and Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale, or the Lakers were coming in with Magic Johnson, with James Worthy, with Byron Scott, right? I mean, those tickets were like, wow. Those were wow tickets. It was an incredible period of time back in the 80s. The players on the team were like family. You heard Reggie Theus say that. It was like a family. Guys were together all the time. It was a different era back then because people communicated with one another. Because you didn't have your phone in your hand, because there were no phones to be had in your hand. It was just a really fun period of time. And whether you were talking with, a LaSalle Thompson or Reggie Theus or Joe Klein or Eddie Johnson, I mean, I can go on and on. Those were very special moments in the history of Sacramento sports because Sacramento became a big league city in 1985. And the unthinkable happened. You had professional sports in Sacramento. Like, could you imagine if somebody told you in 1980, assuming you were alive back then, that the world of professional sports would be in Sacramento? You're like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way. There's no way. Well, Greg Lukenbill had the vision. Mr. Sacramento, I like to call him. He had the vision and made it happen. And was not going to be denied in making it happen. And so when the Kings rolled into Sacramento in 1985, it completely changed the landscape of this city. Completely changed it. And now you look at the brand new Golden One Center. I call it brand new because to me, it's still brand new. It's maybe I should take the name brand off, but it's still, I think, as good as any facility in the NBA. Like, who would have thought that downtown Sacramento would have arguably the best building in the NBA? Like, who could have ever imagined that? Now all they need is a team to match it, which they haven't had, and doesn't look like they're close to having it happen. But what happened in Doco is a miracle. Golden One Center, a miracle. I mean, it really is. And I go over 40 years and we talk about the teams on the court. And other than 1985, where the Kings made the playoffs that year, and then 1996, when they made the playoffs for the first time at the then new Arco 2. And then again in 98, 99, the lockout 50-game season, 8 straight playoff appearances, and then the one 3 years ago. There haven't been a lot of playoffs. This message, Grant, in honor of the 40th anniversary of the Kings, I'm rooting for them to get 40 wins. I'll sign up for 40 wins right now. Yeah, absolutely. I'll sign up for 40. 40 and 42, the same as last year? Yeah, absolutely. That's a good one. But I'm thinking about, when we went from the turn of the decade from the 80s to the 90s. And you went through so many coaches, from Bill Russell. You had Jerry Reynolds. You had Gary St. Jean. You had Dick Motta. I'm not going in any specific order, by the way. Dick Motta was a trip to be around because Dick came in as this old grumpy man. I actually like Dick. I enjoyed talking with Dick Motta. I actually learned some things from Dick about basketball that I used throughout my career. But you had a team that went on a road trip to play all the expansion teams one year that started off in Miami and then went to Orlando and then culminated in Charlotte with a 59-point game against the expansion Charlotte Hornets. And that was the game where on the plane home, that was the year that the Kings got there playing. 59 points. And I think in the first 2 games, they didn't even reach 80. I called it Dick Motta's prevent offense because he didn't want you shooting the ball until there were at least 20 seconds expired on the clock. And Spud just, used to drive Spud crazy. But Spud also had the best years of his career. And if you were with me a couple of weeks ago when I had Spud Webb on, he talked about his best basketball of his career was in Sacramento. But Wayman Tisdale, Spud, Mitch, like that, the early 90s with the players on that team, they were great. They were a lot of fun to be around. And it was a difficult style of basketball to play because, the players are like thoroughbreds. They want to run up and down the court. They want to go up and down the court. They don't want to be like jogging up and down the floor. They don't want to be held back. They don't want to have a harness on them. They want to play basketball. And what do they like to play? Like, you think Spud Webb wants to jog? Spud is a speedster. Let him play. I mean, guys want to get up and down the floor. And that was not the Dick Motta style. It was a half-court, boring style of basketball. It really was. It was boring. There's no other way to say it. It was a boring style of basketball. And then the Kings then went into a different era. And Gary St. Jean came aboard. And there's nobody that didn't love Saint. Everyone loved Saint. Even to this day, people love Saint. It's a great guy. And I'll never forget starting off 3-0. And the first road trip of the year was in Philadelphia. And we're walking off the bus at the Spectrum, getting ready to play the Sixers. It was the first game of a road trip. And Saint goes, 3-0, fellas. 3-0. If we can just go 500 the rest of the year, we're going to have a hell of a year. I think that was the beginning of like an 8 or 9 game losing streak. Because Saint knew that it was going to be a long year. That's the other thing about like sports, and that fans don't really understand this. When you're within the walls of an organization, you know what is going on, and you know what the mood is and the feeling and the outlook of a team is. Because players and coaches and management will tell you one thing because they have to. I mean, after all, it is a entertainment business. They're not going to go, yeah, we stink and, we'll be lucky to win 20 games. They're always looking for the eternal optimist, right? They're always the eternal optimist, looking for the optimism. But when you're within a team, when you're traveling with a team and you're with a team every day, you know what the truth is. You know who the good guys are. You know who the bad guys are. You know the players that need to go. You know the players that you need to keep. Like, there's no mystery here, okay? You know what's going on. You know things that nobody else knows. And that's what I've always tried to get across when I do my radio show. Fans are fans. I understand that. But fans also, and it's a little bit different now because of the era of social media, even though there's a lot of things on social media that are completely untrue. And because of that, you just, like, you get, I don't want to say brainwashed, but you don't think about, gee, could that really happen? Like, I call it a lack of common sense. Like, you need to use common sense now, especially in the world of AI and everything else. You really do. But when you're with a team, you know who needs to be traded, who needs to go. You know whether the team has a chance to win, and you know if a team is going to lose most of their games. You just know. Like, there are no secrets. There's no mystery. And so when I'm looking at the Kings team this year, over the 40 years as we get ready to start the 40th anniversary, I don't have a lot of optimism for this team right now. And I think the majority of fans, and I don't want to speak for all the fans because that wouldn't be right. I'm just going by my social media accounts, the shows that we do on YouTube, the comments that I've received here since starting the show on September 2nd. I don't sense a lot of optimism deep down from Kings fans. They all, oh, gee, maybe this could be, we could surprise teams and blah, blah, blah. But deep down, you know the team's not going to be very good this year. You're holding on to the hope that Nick Clifford is as good as he's looked in the preseason and that maybe he can be that guy that you can build around. That's about it. I mean, let's just call it the way it is. That's about it. You know that DeMar DeRozan's not here much longer. You know Zach LaVine's not part of the future. You know Dennis Schroeder's not part of the future. Like, you just got to call it the way it is. That's why I look at 40 years and I look at all of the good players that the Kings have had that they moved. Most recently, Tyrese Halliburton. And yes, I'm aware they got an all-star in return. But when you have a special player, you don't trade that special player, especially when he plays quarterback. And I equate the point guard position to quarterback. You just don't. You know, you don't trade a special quarterback for a special linebacker, unless that name is Lawrence Taylor, which he was never traded, but I'm just trying to make a point here. You don't trade a player that plays the most important position in the NBA for a really good player at another position. Like you wouldn't trade Steph Curry for any other player in the NBA that played center or power forward or small forward. You wouldn't do that. Okay? You just wouldn't. You would never trade Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for any other player, particularly on the front line. Because when you have a quarterback, when you have that special player, you keep that special player no matter what. You just don't. It's the equivalent of having a special quarterback in the National Football League. And when you have that player, you do not move him. That's why NFL teams do everything and mortgage the farm to get that special player. And that's why NFL teams move up in the draft every year, because they think they can get that special guy. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. All right? Go ask the Chicago Bears with Mitchell Trubisky and Justin Fields. Moved up both, gave away a lot, didn't work out. Go look at the 49ers when they moved up to get Trey Lance. Didn't work out. Fortunately, they were able to draft Brock Purdy with the last pick in the draft, but back then, they didn't think Brock Purdy was going to be a NFL starting caliber quarterback. If they had, they would have drafted him in the second round or the third round or the fourth round, not the last round. But when you have a player, all right, when you have a special player that plays the quarterback position, and in this case, I'm equating the point guard to the quarterback position, you don't move them, period. And it used to be where you would always move a small for a big, always. Used to be the case, unless you had Magic Johnson, who was a big playing a guard position, but you would always trade a small for a big, because that's the way the game was played now. Now you don't. Now you would never trade, we shouldn't say never because the Kings did, but you don't trade your star quarterback or a potential quarterback, and I'm well aware Halliburton wasn't an all-star at the time, but I'm also well aware that most people could see his growth and had special written all over him. So when I look at the 40 years of all the players that the Kings moved that went on and had tremendous careers elsewhere, like Isaiah Thomas, okay, yeah, it's frustrating. I get that. So we talk about 40 years. We talk about expectations this year. And my expectations this year are tempered at best because I just do not see it. I don't see it this year. We'll talk more about this when we come back. 916-779-0929. We roll along here on a busy Monday on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic, the connector from the westbound side of the Cap City Freeway to Highway 50 before Central City Junction remains closed until 6 this evening. Got a crash 99 southbound at 12th Avenue that has you solid from Broadway. Less than 10 minutes in the backup. 80 East slow through Davis with the ride home. And looking at 99 north from Elk Grove through Lemon Hill, a slow in pockets as you make your way into the city. Though you're crash free with twice an hour traffic. I'm KT on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Traffic brought to you by Gabroods Electrical. Homeowners, for any electrical project you need done, trust the good dudes at Gabroods. Locally owned, 5-star service experts, and always transparent prices and solutions. Say goodbye to your electrical issues with Gabroods. GUBRUDS.com.
Hey, it's Grant Napear for Village Financial Group. I have known broker-owner Spencer Grimmenstein for 25 years, ever since he began his family-owned business. Whether it's a home equity line of credit, or buying or selling a home, Spencer is a very creative financing specialist with access to private money. Check out Village Financial Group at bfgloans.com or call Spencer at 916-805-4868. Be sure and call for the investor special. And if you go to their website, bfgloans.com, you can find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. Folks, Spencer is awesome. Trust me. Again, I've known the guy since 2000. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. Call 916-805-4868.
Hey, come on in. Guys.
Hi, Jack. In our subdivision?
Yeah, I saw your Suburban out front, so I thought I'd see how your kitchen and bath remodel was going.
We're delayed.
Oh, watch your step.
Waiting on subs.
Contractors?
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't go with Kitchen Mart?
No, why?
Nothing. That's just why we went with Kitchen Mart. They don't use subs.
No subs?
No subs?
Yeah, with the exception of something very specialized, Kitchen Mart does everything in-house so they can finish on time and on budget. So your cabinets, countertops,
Subbed.
plumbing,
Subbed.
drywall,
Subbed,
electric,
subbed.
and your contractor pulled permits, right? That's the law.
Was he supposed to?
Well,
You mean supposed to?
What'd I say?
Sub.
Sub?
Sub.
Remodeling your kitchen or bath? 20,000 ecstatic customers agree. No subs means Kitchen Mart's in-house designers, craftsmen, and installers do it right and finish on time and on budget. Kitchen Mart, with 2 showrooms in Sacramento and Rockland. Call 362-7080 or go to kitchenmart.net for a free home appointment.
Kitchen and bath, no one does it better than Kitchen Mart.
The most trusted name in kitchen and bath remodeling since 1976.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking, the list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You know, as we get ready to start the 40th year of Sacramento Kings basketball, you could make an argument that over the 40 years that this has been one of the worst teams in professional sports. And so, like, when I talk about my optimism or lack thereof, I've been through 38 of the 40 years. Well, I take that back. I haven't been with the team the last 5. So take away the last 5. But I've been around the Kings for a long time. Other than Gary Gerald and Jerry Reynolds, I don't know if there's somebody else that would have a longer tenure than me with the team. So I've seen a lot. I've experienced a lot. I've gone through some phenomenal moments with this team. I've gone through some bad moments with this team. The team's moving, the team's staying, the team's moving, the team's staying. We went through it all. But over the 40 years, beginning in 1985, where they did make the playoffs with a less than 500 record and they got swept by Houston, this has really been, for many years, embarrassing. Right? I mean, you think about the late 80s, the 90s, the first part of the 90s, awful. Only one playoff appearance in the first 8 years, first 9 years of the decade. 4 games. 3-1 was the series victory for Seattle. Game 2 win up in Seattle was amazing. Games 3 and 4 at Arco were very, very close games, dramatic games. And then, of course, the run that started in 98, 99, Rick Adelman, the lockout year, 50 games. And the Kings losing to Utah in overtime in the Game 5. But that would start the ascent to the top of the West. And then 2002, and not being able to close out the Lakers. The Robert Horry shot in Game 4 down at Staples Center. The Game 6 officiating. 14 missed free throws in Game 7. And then that would start your descent. All right? You're at the top of, almost at the top of the mountain. And then from that point forward, that was it. You would never get back to the conference finals. And then the story that I always tell, the following year, 2 years later, I should say, the Kings lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves. That was the year that Chris Webber came back on March 2nd. The Sacramento Kings had the best record in the NBA. Vlade was playing as well as he had ever played. Brad Miller was playing all-star level basketball. the Kings were rolling. Bobby Jackson was playing great. Mike Bibby. The Kings were rolling. Best record in the NBA. Chris, who had injured himself the year prior in the playoffs against Dallas, had the microfracture surgery, came back, and in the first game at home against the LA Clippers, played great. And everybody was thinking, oh, wow. Well, from that point forward, Chris played awful. And I'll never forget being in Orlando. So the Kings played the Clippers at home and left for Miami to start an East Coast road trip. They had Miami and the next night a back-to-back. And we get to Miami, and Lamar Odom made Chris look like he had never played before. Chris couldn't guard him. He couldn't move. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. And the next night, Rick and Chris got into it big time because Rick didn't want to play Chris on the first of a back-to-back. And Chris went off on Rick. It was an ugly scene. And Chris did not play well. Chris didn't play well the rest of the year. And the following year, he was traded. And I always tell the story of being in the lobby of the Reunion Hotel in Dallas, Texas, when Chris got traded. And the news broke. And I was standing in the lobby. And Chris happens to walk by, sees me, comes up to me, shakes my hand. I said, hey, man, I know we've been through a lot. He goes, yeah, we have. He gave me a hug. I gave him a hug. I go, I wish you the very best of luck. And we talked for, I don't know, a minute and a half in the lobby of the Reunion Hotel. First game for Chris Webber was against the Kings. I mean, what's the chances of that? The first game in Philadelphia as a Sixer is against Sacramento. And I'm at the Spectrum, and I've told this story before, and I'm going to say it again. The statistician that worked with me, he was probably at the time, I'm going to say early 30s, 35 tops. But I liked him. He was a good kid. I called him a kid. He was a good guy. He was very good at what he did. From Philadelphia, huge Philadelphia sports fan. So he sees me about an hour before the game and goes, what on earth are you guys, what were you thinking about? And I said to him, I go, that will be the worst trade in the history of the Philadelphia 76ers. And he laughed at me. And he said, you are absolutely out of your mind. I go, I'm just telling you, that will cost your general manager, Billy King, his job. He'll get fired, and it will be the worst trade you've ever made. And when I came back to Philadelphia the next year, he walks up to me and he goes, I remember what you told me last year. You were 100% correct. I said, yep, I told you. Again, I go back to when you're working with a team every day, you know. Like there are no secrets. There are no like, gee, I may be wrong. No, you know. You know when you know. You know when you know. And I knew that when the Kings traded, regardless of who they got back in return and unloaded that salary, that was a great trade. Just, it was addition by subtraction. But that year that the Kings lost to the Lakers, then the following year, the Webber injury against Dallas, then the following year, the best record in the NBA, Chris comes back, everything just completely went awry. And Rick should have had Chris come off the bench, did not, because Chris would not allow it. And that's the only thing about Rick. And I love Rick. And Rick was a great coach, best coach in the history of the Sacramento Kings, period. But he needed to coach the team. And unfortunately, Chris's ego and everything else prevented that from happening. And it's really unfortunate because I think the Kings, I think they had a better chance of winning the championship that year, maybe than they had in 2002, because I don't think the Lakers were as good. Well, as it turned out, they weren't. And I just think that, I don't know if they would have beat the Pistons that year. Pistons were pretty good. Chauncey Billups, they had Rasheed Wallace that went over there, Hamilton. You know, they had a pretty good team that year. So maybe I'm wrong, but I really believe the Kings would have won the West that year. and they would have made it to the NBA Finals. And it all changed on March 2nd. So I think about 40 years, and I think about the moments, unfortunately, on the court. There are many more bad moments than good moments. Now, for me, I wouldn't say there were many more bad moments than good moments. I loved my job. I loved what I was doing. I cherished every game. Like, I don't judge my tenure with the Kings in a negative way at all. I always look at it as it was the best 32 years of my life. I enjoyed it. Calling games was the best, like blah, 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 doing the radio show. So, like, from my perspective, it's different than the perspective on what actually happened on the floor. But when you look about what happened on the floor,
that's definitely one of them. You know, to see those
in 39 years, Rhino, we got sound coming over. In 39 years, and now 40, the moments on the court have been much, much worse, right? A playoff, 96 playoff, 99 playoff, 8 with Rick Adelman, and then one more 3 years ago. That's 12 playoffs in 39 years. So, again, I go back to the history of this franchise, and you got to call it the way it is. It's one of the worst franchises in the history of professional sports. If you're judging it solely, and that's how you judge professional sports, you judge it solely on achievements, championships or lack thereof, winning seasons, losing seasons. All right? Winning seasons, early seasons, or losing seasons. Winning seasons, losing seasons. All right? A lot of losing seasons. A lot. And I don't know about this year, other than the fact that I don't think this team's going to have a winning season this year. I don't see it. I don't think the pieces fit. Already a bad luck with you losing your best defensive player. You lose your best defensive player in Murray. And although he's not going to be out the whole year, he's going to be out the first part of the year. I just worry that the Kings are not going to be good enough to play catch up if they get off to a bad start. And I don't see how they don't get off to a bad start now with the schedule that I outlined. And can they surprise people? Well, they surprised people 3 years ago when they won 48. So, yeah, you could always surprise people, but you got to be realistic and you got to look at the big picture. And the big picture is, like, the pieces still don't fit. They didn't fit last year. Now you do have a legitimate point guard in Schroeder, but is he going to be the answer? Nick Clifford looks like the real deal, but you lose Valanciunas. How good would Valanciunas look on this roster right now? You lose LaRavia. Let's see. Throw the ball up on Wednesday, play game 1 of 82, and see what happens. See what happens. We've got sound coming up from Sacramento Kings practice. So Rhino was out there today, and we've got a lot to go over. So be sure and remember that, all right, that each and every day we've got the Kings covered, including all 82 postgame shows over on our YouTube channel, if you don't like that. Hey, I want to tell you the NBA season tips off tomorrow, and so does DraftKings' newest fantasy game. It's DraftKings Pick 6. It's the easiest way to play for big wins. Every possession, folks, gives you a shot at real money. Now, here's how to play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more stats and unlock the upside every game brings. Just download the DraftKings Pick 6 app. Very simple. Pick 6 is available in Texas, California, Missouri, and more. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. Don't just watch basketball, cash in. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now. Use code KSAC. That's code KSAC. Play just $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick six, not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable pick six bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos. We'll have our sound coming from Kings practice next, right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Homeowners, the 30% federal tax credit for solar and green energy ends December 31st. Let me say that again. The 30% federal tax credit for solar and green energy ends December 31st. If you've been procrastinating about your home's solar addition, stop. Call locally owned Gabroods Services and schedule your solar appointment today. Gabroods is the recognized Northern California specialist for everything electrical, panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, and especially residential solar installation. Gabroods experts do it all, and they do it right the first time. The 30% federal tax credit ends soon. Stop procrastinating. Call Gabroods and schedule your appointment for solar now. Family owned and operated for 30 years. Visit Gabroods.com. Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabroods.com.
For more than 4 decades, Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort has been trusted by home and business owners for their professional expertise in heating, air conditioning, and solar energy. Your home is your castle, and at Sierra Pacific, we thank you for 40 great years of trusting us to protect your castle. Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort, solar, heating, and air. SierraPacificHome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air. The guys in the big red trucks.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. Looking for the best happy hour in town? Head to Bennett's, where every day from 2 to 6, you'll find flavor, fun, and serious value. Enjoy over 10 wines by the glass, country club style cocktails like lemon drops, skinny margaritas, and crave-worthy share plates. Short rib tacos, chicken wings, calamari, and more, starting at just $6. It's upscale without the uptight. 3 locations, Roseville, Rockland, and Sacramento. Join us today or check out the menu at bennettsrestaurants.com.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
A busy Monday with 2 NFL games in just about a half hour. Game 7 from Toronto with the Mariners and the Blue Jays. The Kings will leave for Phoenix tomorrow afternoon, play game 1 of 82 against the Phoenix Suns on Wednesday. Don't forget to join us right after the game over on our YouTube channel if you don't like that, as Rhino joins me with Jerry Reynolds each and every game for the post game. Jerry won't be on every game, but he'll be joining us a lot. That begins on Wednesday. So we have got you covered from top to bottom with the Sacramento Kings here, of course, on Fox Sports Sacramento, and then over on YouTube. If you're not familiar with that, please subscribe to our channel. Rhino does a daily show. I do daily shows. We've got post-game shows. We have got it all as the Kings get ready for the season on Wednesday. Rhino was out at the Golden One Center today, and he was out there yesterday. Well, he's pretty much been out there every day. Where are we going to start today, buddy? Oh, he's still putting that together. Don't worry. 916-779-0929. He's answering a phone call. Thank you, buddy. That's the other thing about Rhino. He's like, when I say he's my wingman, he's my right wing. He's the left wing. He is sitting in the cockpit. He's moving the rudder. I mean, he does it all. So before we get to practice, I want to let you know, I pat him on the back because the guy's doing yeoman's work. He's doing a phenomenal job here for me on Fox Sports Sacramento. So I give him big props because he's doing an amazing job. All right, before we get to practice, why don't we get to Terry because he wants to talk about a Kings moment. Terry in Sacramento, I'll get you on before we get to practice coverage. What's going on today?
Well, I want to talk about 85.
All right. We're just going to say goodbye. Rhino, what do you have for us today from Kings practice?
Well, first, I want to give a little context because Russell Westbrook was introduced to us on Sunday. The Kings had an off day that day. It was a little bizarre. I thought some of us were expecting more than just a media scrum for the introduction, but a little access nonetheless to Russ. And one of the things that definitely caught a lot of us was just the aura, the presence of Russell Westbrook. He talked about how blessed he is to have the opportunity to be here in Sacramento. He also talked about being fueled by the people that are doubting the Kings nationally, as we have talked about many times on this show and you all have read on the internet, and really being important to behind the scenes, making sure that he is a good teammate, filling in wherever he can, being vocal on the court, off the court. So, of course, I had to ask Russ on Sunday. I said, of course, Malik Monk said he's one of your favorite teammates of all time. And little did I know, Russ turned it around on me. It's like, what? What'd you say? And he gave us actually an amazing response after that. So here was Russ on Sunday during his introductory press conference. As I look for it, where did it go? Here we go. You know what, Grant? It's gone.
Wow. I was just complimenting you how great of a job you were doing. I did the announcer jinx on you. You know what the announcer jinx is, right?
100%. It's the free throws.
I just gave you the announcer jinx, the Grant Napear announcer jinx with his wingman Ryan in Sacktown.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, you gave me the free throw curse, the missed field goal. So anyways, we'll get to that in a little bit, but certainly a lot of guys happy that Russ is in the building. We've talked about who has lobbied for Russ to be there. DeMar DeRozan, one of them that was happy to have Russ.
Excited. Obviously everybody know how close my relationship is with Russ. Russ is definitely, a guy I mentioned to him, to everybody, that got to be somebody that can definitely help us in many ways. So to have him, on the team is crazy. First ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest point guards of all time. The knowledge, the still what he have left to give to the game, to be a part of that, is definitely energetic. So, it's exciting to see him here.
And Russ was getting up and down the court today with the guys chirping, talking, as you would expect. And here is the audio that we were talking about from Sunday.
I don't know. Say one more time.
One of his favorite teammates of all time. What are you looking to contribute off the court with the guys in the locker room, and especially the young guys?
Yeah, man, I think since I've been in this league, leadership is not just something that I'm fortunate you guys see or on the floor, but my job, and I think one of my traits as a leader is to be able to learn about guys' journeys off the floor, how they got to this point, what inspired them, what pushes them. And I think been able to do that, and obviously I've known Malik since he was high school. He's worked out with me in college, and able to know his story allows me to be a better teammate, a better brother to my teammates. And I think to me, that's what I look forward to most in any part of my journey, being able to impact and inspire somebody daily. It's always my daily goal to run into somebody and maybe I can inspire them and do something that they think they can do. So I look forward to doing that.
Russ, what intrigues?
So, Grant, I've never spent time until then around Russell Westbrook, but I do have to say, based upon, and we'll hear from Drew Eubanks as well, this is something that everybody seems to be very happy about in the building, at least from a experience and mentoring standpoint.
Well, I can't imagine Keon Ellis is very happy about it.
Yeah, besides him.
Right? I mean, he has to be like, what on earth is going on? What on earth do I have to do to get on the floor for this team? And in all fairness, we haven't had a game yet, so maybe Doug's going to surprise all of us, and Keon's going to be a big part of the rotation this year. I don't know how it's going to work, barring injury. But listen, Russell Westbrook is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, is a former MVP, but all of that is like, doesn't do any good now. I will tell you, the Kings had Vince Carter, and Vince Carter is somebody that you wanted to be around. Vince was great, particularly with Justin Jackson. Vince was at the end of his career, played every night, but was a shell of himself. And at times, he would show glimpses of, wow, I can still play. But for all intents and purposes, he was a shell of himself. And this is a bottom line business. You either win or you lose. And quite frankly, I don't see how Russell Westbrook is going to help the team win, especially if that means that Keon Ellis is going to be playing sparingly. It doesn't make sense to me. So, I get all of the history. I get the fact that he's one of the great players of his generation. I get all of that. But so was Vince Carter. It didn't help the Kings win.
I don't think, and you and I talked about this on Friday, I don't think all of the minutes that go to Russ are going to come directly from Keon. I think Dennis Schroeder, as the season goes along, he'll start because, as you said, that was Scott Perry's pickup. That was the guy he targeted. He doesn't want to have pie on his face if it doesn't work out, and you bring Russ in, who's playing much better. But I think Dennis's minutes, based off of what we've seen in preseason, and now that he's dealing with a little thing with his foot, it seems like he'll be fine for the game because he just didn't take contact today in practice. I think they're going to come from him ultimately. So it might help Keon to a degree to be on the floor with Russ.
A lot to figure out beginning on Wednesday, Rhino. A lot to figure out because when the schedule came out, you were like, oh, wow, this is great. You have Phoenix and Utah in the first two games, and now you're playing both of them without your two frontline players. So it's not going to be easy.
No, and DeMar DeRozan, when the team broke down today, Coach Christie asked him to say a few words, and we asked him, or somebody in the media asked him, what he shared with the team. And he said, this is it. This is where it starts. We are 0-0. I
mean, it's real. It's just everything, counts from here on out. Coming in tomorrow, it's going to be a day where we prepare for Phoenix. Next day, we're going to go play Phoenix, and everything from there, once game one comes, it's everything here. It's nonstop. So, just getting in the right mindset, and getting everybody ready.
And you got to have to be in the right mindset for 82 games, but I think more than anything, your home games. This team's played very well on the road over the last few years. They've got a really good mindset or preparation. I don't know what it is, but they are very good on the road. It's the home games that have been so terrible, and you could not have, and I hate to call it easy because there's really no such thing as an easy game in professional sports, but if you're going to compare it to the other teams in the West, I mean, you couldn't have an easier opponent than the Utah Jazz for a home opener. I mean, you don't have Oklahoma City coming in or you don't have Denver coming in. You have Utah. And I know you're shorthanded, but the table's still set pretty good. There's a lot of pressure now. Pressure is an overused word. There's a lot that's going to be put on the backup frontline guys that are now going to have to go to the starting position and hold the fort down.
It's a great point. And last year, many times when this team played well on the road, they got out to a hot start. They weren't playing from behind. Now, there's the exception in a few games where they did come from behind. Grant, this just right now does not strike me as a team that's going to be able to bounce back from being down 20 in the second quarter.
No, especially early in a season without Sabonis and Murray. I just don't see it. I don't. Now, as we get later in the season, we'll digest this. I like to go in 5-game increments.
Yeah.
So I'll judge this team in 5-game increments because I think that we all make too much of a judgment based on one win or one loss. I like to look at 5-game increments and give the team a grade after every 5 games.
And you like 25 games. You've been on record saying as a sample to make a judgment or make judgments about a team. Is there anything that can speed that up besides injuries?
Yeah, Nick Clifford could speed that up. Like if Nick just all of a sudden is the talk of the NBA as a rookie, then that would speed that up because it would be similar to what I'm going through right now as a Giants fan. So the Giants are losing, but I know they have their future at the quarterback position. And so I'm okay with that based on the last decade or so of that position being a huge question mark. Well, now to me, it's not a question mark, even though it's only been 4 games. I see what I see, and my eyes tell me that they have a special player at quarterback. If I can say the same thing about Nick Clifford as the season's going on, the number of wins really won't matter to me because I know that, okay, this is a guy you can center your franchise around.
And it's a guy that we're going to continue hearing about throughout the rest of the show with the audio from practice. But on Friday night, I came out and said it on our postgame show on If You Don't Like That. Nick Clifford has the best court vision from a rookie that I've seen since Tyrese Halliburton. And DeMar DeRozan was asked about Nick and how much he has been surprised and what his evaluation is on Nick. Here's what he had to say.
How smooth he is. He's very mature and smooth with his skill set. And, you know, just to have that foundation already with time, it's not going to do nothing but get better and better. You know, so I'm excited for him, not just this year, just for his career. I really believe he's going to be a star in this league. You know, the things he's able to do. Great kid, listen, ask questions, you know, and that's a recipe for nothing but success. What do you see in that?
I love that. He doesn't have any entitlement to him. And I think that comes with being more mature because of his age. It was the same thing with Tyrese Halliburton. When he entered his rookie year, he had all of the intangibles. I look at Nick, and he seems to have all of the intangibles.
He does through the preseason, and I think we need to throw in Summer League, although you're not playing against NBA competition or every game against NBA competition. Nick today after practice was working on his ball handling. It's the little things. He does not ignore any parts of his game. And, you know, if the coaches think he can play point, he's going to be driven to try to play some point, and looked good doing the ball handling today.
Hey, I want to tell you about Village Financial Group and their broker owner, Spencer, who I've known for 25 years. That's when he began his family-owned business, whether it's a home equity line of credit or buying or selling a home. Spence is a very creative financing specialist. And remember this, folks, he has access to private money. Call or text Spence at 916-805-4868. That's 916-805-4868. And be sure and call for the investor special. And if you go to their website, bfgloans.com, you will find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. Again, that number, 916-805-4868. What else do you have for us today from practice?
You want some more audio? Okay, we can go there. Russell Westbrook, as I said before, talked about one of the things fueling him this season and this team is the doubters about the success of this team. They're old, they're mismatched. And so I asked DeMar if that's fueling him as well. Here's what he had to say.
Can you feel? Yeah. You got to find fuel wherever you can find it. And that's definitely one of them. You know, to see those lists that they put out there, like, you definitely got to be fueled off that, without a doubt. So just as much as him, you know, we feed off that energy, and everybody else got to take that personal too.
Tomorrow, a practice, fly to Phoenix, game 1 Wednesday, back here for game 2 on Friday. And it goes without saying that this team has already been hurt by injury substantially. We must talk about something that we don't know about, and that is luck. This team must not have any more injuries for a while. They just can't. They will not be able to sustain that.
They've had this funny luck where a star for a team ends up not playing against them, and it's happened 2 seasons in a row, and it's starting to happen this year as well because you're not going to have any LeBron James on Sunday the 3rd against the Lakers.
That's correct. And Colby White, who is we both love, I wouldn't put him anywhere near the same category as LeBron James, but he's going to be out at least 2 weeks. And if that's true in Chicago, then that means he'll miss the game coming up in Chicago when the Kings go on their first extended road trip of the year. Now, that is a back-to-back for Sacramento. They play Oklahoma City the night before, but they won't have to face Colby White. And I love that guy. I think he's a really good player.
It's a shame. You know, League Pass gives you an option now where you can pay to watch one team out of market. Right now I'm on Chicago. So I love Kobe's game. It's so good.
He is very good. He is really, really good. All right, so we're going to talk more about this next hour. Anything else coming from Kings Camp next hour?
Yeah, we'll have Coach Christie and also Drew Eubanks.
Okay, I guess I should stop calling it camp. It's now the season, and camp is in the rearview mirror now that the 4 preseason games have been played. So good. I'll look forward to Doug Christie and, of course, Drew Eubanks, who will, I don't think any doubt, start against the Phoenix Suns coming up on Wednesday and then again on Friday. So it's here, the NBA season. 2 games tomorrow. I also want to point out, this being the 40th anniversary of the Sacramento Kings, Joe Klein, the first ever draft pick of the Sacramento Kings, will join me on Wednesday. Also on Wednesday, Steve Weiss from the NFL Network. Love talking with Steve. I think he's one of the very best reporters in the entire NFL. We'll talk some NFL with him coming up on Wednesday. Tomorrow, we've got Sean Salisbury each and every Tuesday at 5 o'clock right here on the Grant Napear Show. So we've got you covered. We're going to be talking a lot of basketball. We're going to be talking a lot of NFL football. Thursday, Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. But the next couple days, love it. Sean Salisbury, Steve Weiss, Joe Klein, and maybe another guest or two not yet mentioned as soon as we can confirm with them. We'll come back. Grant's Rant. Yes, Grant's Rant. Sound from Doug Christie and more from Sacramento Kings practice. 1 hour left right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic, the connector from the west side of the Cap City Freeway to Highway 50 before the Central City Junction remains closed until 6 this evening. Got a crash slowing traffic 50 west to 59th on the shoulder. You're slower from Howe Avenue, 99 northbound at Sheldon with your right lane blocked with a crash. Traffic is heavy and slow from before Laguna Boulevard. And 80 east is slow through Davis with your ride home. With twice an hour traffic, I'm KT on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit HQNightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
This is Above the Noise. It's hard to script a better weekend than the one Notre Dame just had. Not only did the Irish take care of business against USC, their most bitter rival, but the rest of college football seemed to crumble around them. While Marcus Freeman's squad was handling the Trojans in South Bend, the scoreboard across the country kept flashing good news for the Irish. Number 2, Miami, fell to unranked Louisville. Number 5, Ole Miss, taken apart by Georgia. Number 11, Tennessee, handled by Alabama. And LSU, they fell to Vandy. One by one, teams ranked ahead of Notre Dame dropped like dominoes, clearing the path for a massive move up in the polls. Notre Dame didn't just win this weekend. They positioned themselves back in the national title conversation. Marcus Freeman needed a statement win, and he got it this weekend at home. As for the rest of college football, they may have just handed Notre Dame the perfect weekend on a silver platter. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
When it comes to great meat, quality, freshness, and care make all the difference. That's the Heartland difference. At Heartland Steak Co., you're getting premium Midwestern meats, hand-cut, hand-picked, and delivered straight to your door. From juicy USDA prime and choice beef to all-natural pork and tender chicken, Heartland Steak Co. brings that true Midwest flavor right to your table. perfect for backyard barbecues, weeknight dinners, or sending gifts of great taste, they've got you covered. Ordering is easy at heartlandsteakco.com. Choose from Grill Master packages, freezer filler bundles, or holiday gift boxes. Everything's flash frozen at peak freshness, so it's ready when you are. And here's the deal. When you spend $199.99 or more, you'll get free shipping and $25 off your order with promo code SAVE25. That's heartlandsteakco.com, your one-stop shop for premium Midwest meats delivered straight to your door. Taste the Heartland difference. Visit heartlandsteakco.com and use code SAVE25 today.
It's time. Grant Napear is back every weekday afternoon, 3 to 6. This is Fox Sports, KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento. It's time for Grant.
Good one, Rhino. What do you have for me?
I've got 3 hot and ready for you, Napes. The first is commentating during college football games. It is so different from the NFL, and Grant, quite frankly, there's a little too much yelling for me. There's a big touchdown, okay, but like breaking free on a 12-foot or a 12-yard run, come on, you got to bring it down a notch. Second, hey, Chris in Pocket, I know you're not calling, or you usually would call if the Chargers win, but in this case, with them not winning, I know you're not calling because of those hideous uniforms the Chargers were wearing yesterday. Grant, those were the ugliest uniforms I've seen since the Kings gold uniforms. And last but not least, I am going to give you a dealer's choice.
All right. I'm going to go in this direction. I don't care that Michael Jordan is going to be part of NBC's basketball coverage. This is a guy that is basically blown off the media for the last couple of decades, okay? That is inaccessible to the media. Now, all of a sudden, I'm supposed to be all like, oh, Michael Jordan's going to be like a special contributor on the NBA on NBC. Who the hell cares? I'm not turning on NBC to watch Michael Jordan, all right? Yes, I love watching Michael Jordan just like everybody else. Yes, he was the greatest basketball player I've ever seen. Yes, it was a thrill and an honor to announce games that Michael Jordan was playing in. But like it's 2025 now, all right? The guy was a horrible owner with the Charlotte franchise. Horrible, all right? Again, he blows off the media, doesn't want anything to do with anybody. And now all of a sudden I'm supposed to go gaga because he's going to be on NBC's coverage as a quote-unquote special contributor? Really? Like, you think I want to hear from Michael Jordan? Like, who cares? Like, they make a big deal out of it. And how much money are they paying him? Which means, at what point am I going to start reading about layoffs from NBC Sports because the absurd amount of money that they're paying a guy who doesn't need money? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Seriously. You know, they're trying to live in the past when they used to have their great basketball package, and we need Jordan as part of it because he carried the coverage back when Marv Albert was the lead announcer. Yes. And it counts. I mean, stop it already with this Michael Jordan nonsense. We get he is arguably the greatest player of all time, and we still see number 23 all over the world, not only in America. Travel to Europe, travel to Asia, travel anywhere. You're going to see even infants with Michael Jordan jerseys on. All right, they're everywhere. I get it. But I now have to get, like, you're going to, like, throw it down my throat because Michael Jordan is coming back on NBC and you're promoting the heck out of it. I don't care. All right. I'm not turning on NBC because of what Michael Jordan has to say. This is ridiculous. It's like when ESPN hired Bobby Knight to be part of their basketball coverage. Really? Bobby Knight? The guy that was ruthless and just so condescending to the media for years and years and years. And now you want him part of your coverage? Why? Why do you want Michael Jordan on NBC? Seriously. It's a waste of freaking time. Don't bother me with it. All right? Let me know when the game starts because that's when I'll be watching. And that's my rant for today. I do want to add one thing, though, what you said to me. I think that the trend in announcing games has gone off the cliff. And you are 100% correct about college football. There are moments when an announcer needs to put their stamp on it, but not on a first down and 15 because of a penalty, and you make the first down to the 35-yard line. That's not the time. And I'm with you. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what I'm seeing now when I watch college football. You're spot on about that.
Well, we all can't sit around and watch sports all day as much as we would like to. Sometimes you're doing something in the background, and if I hear the volume go up like that, I'm going to turn my head, and then it's like, oh, it was first down. Cool. So
I know. It's crazy.
Question for you. At this point, with Michael Jordan's wealth and his empire with the Jordan brand, is taking any money from NBC a bad look?
No, because that's the world that we live in, and I doubt very much he's doing it for free. But I don't understand why he's doing it in the first place. I don't understand.
Well, maybe,
I really don't.
Maybe he'll be like Marshawn Lynch, where he goes and explores each city.
Good.
And finds something to do.
Unbelievable. Really. All right. By the way, you're right about the Chargers unis. That was just horrible. Just awful. Terrible.
The internet had fun with those.
Did they ever?
Oh,
yeah.
The Minions.
Oh.
That was a pretty good one. Those were bad. As a professional football player, at some point I'm saying, I'm not putting this on. I'm just not.
Brutal. All right, let's get back to King's practice. So Doug Christie, and who else do we have today?
We have Coach Christie and Drew Eubanks. We'll save Drew for last. We've only got a couple from Coach Christie. Of course, he was asked about his feelings on the Russell Westbrook acquisition and what it brings to the team. Here is what Doug had to say.
Exciting. Obviously everybody know how close.
Excuse me, that is not Doug. That is DeMar DeRozan. Here is Doug Christie.
Leadership, intensity, a veteran voice, internal leadership, aggressiveness. There's so many different aspects of his game that are needed for our team and are needed for our players. Some of our veterans as well, and definitely our young players. They get to see what a pro does on a day-to-day basis, and it's about as valuable information as you can get. Can't purchase it. It's something that is in a person, and Russ has it in spades.
Well, you already have veterans on the team. Doesn't DeMar DeRozan do that? I mean, isn't that what DeMar DeRozan is on the team for? Didn't you just bring in a veteran point guard?
Right.
I understand they don't have the resume of Russell Westbrook, but what a bunch of crap that is. I'm sorry. That's a bunch of nonsense. So you're bringing in Russell Westbrook, all right? I understand that Doug's doing his job, and I'm not coming down on Doug because he has to answer the question, and I know Doug, and I know how he thinks, and I know Doug loves being around basketball players that have the whole package. I get that. Because I know what makes Doug tick. Okay, so I'm not upset at what Doug just said. I'm upset with the notion that this Russell Westbrook, who nobody wanted, that nobody wanted, is being made out already. Okay, let's just call it the way it is. He's already being made out to be the savior of this year's Sacramento Kings team. That's how he's being built up. I mean, stop it with this nonsense. The guy's going to be 37 in a couple of weeks, all right, who couldn't go get a job with anyone else in the NBA because nobody wanted him. And now we got to make him to this, savior of the franchise? Enough already with this nonsense.
Okay, it happens with pretty much anybody that's brought on to the Kings, whether it's at the end of the camp or in season. Are you saying it's completely over the top of that?
It's just over the top. And listen, I acknowledge the guy can still play. It's not like he doesn't know how to play basketball anymore. It's not like over the summer he aged 10 years and the numbers from last year are just going to go away. But let's keep this in perspective. I mean, just everything I'm hearing, on the internet and with the other players that are talking about him, like you're bringing God in or something. This guy is, again, a player that nobody else in the league wanted. Keep that in mind, would you please?
And to be fair, some of the Denver executives that did not want him back were still surprised he was not signed. They even thought that was a little bit weird with the NBA, that none of the other teams wanted him. Hey, right before this kicks off, are you going Jays or are you going Mariners?
I'm going Jays. And I think Vladimir Guerrero is just a guy that I'm not pitching to in any circumstance. And if there's a base open, if I'm Seattle, I'm not pitching to him. And I think that the key to this game for Seattle is right now, and I think they need to get a run early and put the pressure on Toronto. Because the one thing we've seen Seattle do when they have been in Toronto, they have had no problems scoring runs. And I think that they would really settle them down. This is not anything that they envisioned when they got on the airplane to leave Toronto after destroying them in the first 2 games.
It's a great point. Everything, though, in this series has been backwards to me.
Yep.
And I feel like tonight it's going to be Seattle's night. There is something magical going on in that city that's seeking its first World Series.
Yep.
And it's very reminiscent, I believe, 2010, Grant, when the Giants made their World Series, their first, most recent World Series run. So we will see. Okay, back to Kings and Doug Christie. I asked him. He's going to be rooting for the Mariners, of course, because he's a 206 guy. But he was asked if now that we are through camp and we've seen Neek, or he's seen Neek for 4 preseason games in the summer, is there anything that's still surprising him about Neek?
It would be hard pressed to say, no, he hasn't surprised me. I mean, watching him once we drafted him, you know, we got to work out with him the prior year, so got to see him. And then once we got him in a Sacramento Kings uniform, watching him in the summertime, immediately I was surprised by the reads that he made. Not all young players come off of a pick and roll and they're reading their progressions like a quarterback. And he's like pocket, you know, low man, corner, and then he's even reading the guy that's behind him. Like, those are high level things. When he drove down the other night and he took the defense, brought him to him, and then dropped it off to Dario on the baseline. So probably that aspect of his game, but there's a part of him that doesn't really get rattled, and he just kind of plays his game. And I talked to him about, you know, don't feel overwhelmed. Just go out there, play extremely hard, and we're going to learn together. Like, don't worry about it. I got you. And just watching him do his business and he does his film work. Encourage him to talk to DeMar, Zach, Dennis, and now Russ. Like, that is corporate knowledge that for him is like a PhD, master's degree, all in one. He just has to be willing to take the information in, and he is, to his credit, as a young player.
Again, I love Nick Clifford. He's got all of the intangibles that you want for a young player. His head's on right. He's mature. He's got a good work ethic. He has a good feel for the game. There's no negatives at all towards the kid. None. Zero.
No, I'm with you. Mariners, quick double, Julio Rodriguez. So there you go, Grant. You called that.
Well, they haven't scored yet. But what I said is,
quick start.
I think that they need to score first in this game. And I think that the best opportunity to take a lead, it's the only opportunity, is in the top of the first. And I've always felt that in a big game on the road, I actually love coming up first, because if I can score and turn the pressure on the other team, I love that. So, like, I actually love top of the first, big game on the road in baseball, because you've got the opportunity to set the tone before the other team even gets up.
Amen. Oh my gosh. Did you see Kentucky's play calling on a side note against Texas in overtime?
I did not.
Oh, it was so awful. They're at the goal line and they ran it 3 times. Bad stuff. Anyways, yeah, we will see what happens there. Monday Night Football still ongoing. Looks like a receiver, Mike Evans, is hurt again, Grant. They cannot afford to lose Mike Evans.
No, they cannot. And Detroit's up 14-0. And I tell you, if Detroit does not make it far in the playoffs, it will be because of the stupid coaching by Dan Campbell, who, to me, lost the game in San Francisco 2 years ago in the playoffs. And I know the players love playing for him, and I know that he does the same thing. But, like, you're up 7-0, and you've got a 4th down, and you throw a 15-yard pass into the end zone that's incomplete, and you give the ball back. You have a chance to go up 10-0 on a team that's 5-1 at home, and yet you don't do it. And I just, at some point, these come back and bite you. They come back and bite you. And they may not bite you tonight, but when the game is a single elimination and you're continually giving up 3 points, it comes back and hurts you. And it did against San Francisco.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, Brandon Staley, good example of that with the Chargers, bit him.
Yep.
It just seems like guys and coaches are getting a little more leeway because the league is trending that way. Heck, football in general is trending that way with going for it on fourth down.
Analytics having a huge impact on sports and the way we watch them now. Huge impact. We see it in all sports.
You love analytics.
Oh, my gosh. You know what the problem is with sports? And I say the problem when I watch it 24 hours a day and I'm watching everything all the time, is that it's taken common sense out of the equation. Common sense does not factor in to the way coaches coach and managers manage, it seems like, because they're going by the damn computer. Common sense. It drives me freaking crazy that we have gotten away from common sense. Do what is just obvious to do. And analytics have completely changed that.
Yeah, as my old man says, balance. You got to keep it.
Well, you better have balance when you're in the cockpit too, Rhino. You better use your common sense when you're flying a plane.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, everything with flying is checklists and mathematics. It is a process of common sense. Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do that? So you're right.
Hey, common sense to me also is when you're making a big purchase, to do your research and to make sure that you are going with a business that has a really good track record. And that's Village Financial Group. And I talk about the people that work in a business, and particularly the owner broker here in Spencer, who I've known for 25 years. And that's when he began his family-owned business. And whether it's a home equity line of credit, maybe you're selling a home, buying a home, Spence is very creative, and he is a financing specialist, and he has access to private money. Give him a call or text him. All right, 916-805-4868. That's 916-805-4868. And be sure and call for the investor special. And if you go to vfgloans.com, you can find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. Seattle already on the board. 1-0, top of the first. Only one out. Good start for the M's in a winner-take-all Game 7. This is the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic looking at 80 East. You slow through Davis with the ride home. Got a crash 99 northbound at Sheldon in your right lane. And you're heavy from before Laguna Boulevard. Also a crash slowing traffic on 50 West at 59th on your shoulder. Cleaning up. You're still slower from Howe Avenue with the ride home mixed in. And the connector from the westbound side of the Cap City Freeway to Highway 50 right before the Central City Junction remains closed until 6 this evening. With twice an hour traffic, I'm KT on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit hqnightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
Ready to turn your idle equipment into cash? Purple Wave Auction is your solution. We specialize in no-reserve online auctions, bringing nationwide buyers to your doorstep. From excavators to dozers, we'll market your assets to a vast audience of eager buyers. No hauling required. We photograph and list your equipment where it sits. Experience our transparent and simple process with expert support. Join successful sellers who trust Purple Wave. Visit purplewave.com today to learn how easy selling can be.
Brad Gazan, on Atlanta United, we know everyone has a ritual, a habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance. But what do you do to keep your head in the game? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body. It's about taking care of your mind and mental health. Discover the resources you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Find resources at georgia.loveyourmindtoday.org.
Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute, the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, and the Ad Council.
916-779-0929. Let's get to some phone calls this segment. And we start with Dan right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Grant. Thanks for having me on. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, sure. Good. How are you, Dan?
Good, good. I just wanted to touch on the Giants' loss yesterday. Not sure if you guys talked about it yet, but not sure how many more losses we can, handle like this, where we don't have a NFL caliber kicker on our team. We've already had losses like this last season happen, and I'm not sure when it's ever going to change, if the coaching staff will ever change. It's just wanted to hear your thoughts on that loss yesterday.
Well, my thoughts are that you definitely have to look at coaching and the issue on a couple of real pivotal decisions in this football game. One was the Jackson Dart interception, where you're up by 2 possessions. It's 3rd and a short 5, long 4, and Denver only has 1 timeout, and you need to run 40 seconds off the clock there and punt and make them go the length of the field. You need to use your best strategy to win a football game. And even though Dart made a bad decision, that shouldn't have been a decision he could have made. You should have run the football. If you run the football there, I don't think there's any way you lose the game. Then the first down of Denver with 30 seconds left, and you are in a 3-man front with 0 rush on the quarterback. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The Giants have thrown away 2 games this year, and I put it firmly on the backs of the defense. The Dallas game, again, you score with 30 seconds left. You allow them to come down and kick a game-tying field goal. They win in overtime, and then yesterday. And so the Giants are sitting at 2-5 when they really should be 4-3. So, I mean, I don't know if Brian Dable's going to survive this. I really don't.
No, it doesn't look like it. And, I mean, today he said that there's going to be no coaching changes, so it looks like Shane Bowen will continue making those calls.
Yep, that's what he said today. That's correct. Yep.
I don't know if you saw the video of Burns walking out of the field.
I did.
And his frustration of the dropping 8 in coverage. So, the players see it. Everyone sees it. Just, I don't get, why the changes aren't being made. If it's John Morrow's call, if it's going to be the GM, I don't know. But it's very frustrating. But, yeah, just wanted to hear your thoughts. Thanks, Grant.
But the big picture, Dan, is the Giants have their quarterback of the future. So no matter what happens this year, I've seen enough of Jackson Dart that tells me that they finally got their guy at quarterback.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate your phone call. Let's get to Lynn in Sacramento. Hi, Lynn. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Grant. How are you doing?
Good, Lynn. How are you today?
Question. I'm doing good. Were you able to get in the F1 race yet, or still on?
Yeah,
DVR?
but not live. Not live. I watched it late, or actually, I watched it this morning. So I watched the replay.
Gotcha.
It's a very boring race. There was very little drama in that race. Verstappen just was no contest. But I was,
the sprint
to
race
me,
was
it was
crazy.
very boring.
Yeah, it was kind of boring, but the sprint race was kind of interesting. If you got a chance to watch out the first lap where the 2 McLaren cars got out, that was crazy.
Yeah.
You
In the sprint race, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that will be their worst. That will be their worst case scenario in the final 5 races coming up now. Is they need to stay out of each other's way because they both are going for the championship now that the Constructors' Championship's already in the books. And there's nothing that Zach Brown or anyone at McLaren is going to be able to do. They're going to race, and it's each man for himself right now. They're not a team anymore. When you already win the Constructors' Championship, you don't, in my opinion, operate as a team anymore. You operate as 2 individuals, and I think they're going to be racing for themselves here in the final 5 weeks. And if they run into each other, it's going to be really bad, but it's racing. That's the way it is. It's called racing. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, I agree with you. Let me give you a stat. Heading into the Italian Grand Prix, Oscar was up 104 points over Max. 4 rounds later, after the U.S. Grand Prix, the gap is only 40 points. So in 4 rounds, Max made up 64 points. There's 141 points left. We got 5 races and 2 sprints. So I think Max is going to come back and get both of these McLaren drivers and win his championship again.
Well, they look like they had the best car. They made a couple adjustments to the front wing, and it seems like it's been exactly what the doctor ordered. And I think most would agree that, Max is the most talented driver on the circuit. If you give him the car, he's going to be tough to beat. You're right.
And even his teammate was able to do really good. He started in the back and got into the point.
Yeah, Sonoda had a good race. What is he, 7th? Yeah. Thanks,
so
Lynn.
that Red Bull team has fixed their cars. See you later, Grant.
Hey, I appreciate you. Bye-bye now. Let's get to some more phone calls. We say hello to Pat in New York. Pat, welcome to the program.
Hey, Grant, how you doing? Boy,
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah, it's tough with that game yesterday. I mean, as much as the Giants have a reputation for their defense over the years, they've also had a good reputation with their kickers. I mean, the punters, the field goal kickers, the Giants have always done well throughout their history, dating back to Dave Jennings. And it's just the way they're treating the kicking game these days is terrible.
Well, I mean, Graham Gano seems to get hurt every year, and he got hurt again this year, and it's been just dreadful for the Giants. It's a real problem. Punting's not a problem, but their place kicking is a real problem, and kickoffs is a real problem.
And what really was discouraging was after the extra point was missed yesterday, the way that Shane Bowen played the defense in the last 40 seconds of the game. I mean, it's one thing if he had made the kick and you're saying to yourself, okay, a field goal's going to tie the game. I mean, everybody knew that a field goal was going to win that game, and he played the defense the same way he did during the Dallas game a couple weeks earlier.
Yeah, 100%.
Letting them get down the field that easy.
I'm surprised he still has a job today. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, Pat.
Yep.
All right,
no problem, guy. Have a good one.
Thank you, buddy. You have a good one, too. Let's get to the number again, 916-779-0929. You can use that for the text line also. So this from the 530, after 3 games, you are calling Jackson Dart the quarterback of the future, Grant. What I'm asking you to say that only 3 games that he started, especially with how much contact he takes, the contact that he takes is an issue for me. All right. Because if you're not on the field, then that's going to be an issue. But yes, after watching 3 games, I think he's the real deal. I think he's clearly the quarterback of the future. I think they hit a home run by moving up in the draft. And yes, that's what I've seen after 3 games. Do I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame? I'm not ready to say that yet. But I do think they have their quarterback of the future, just like I think Denver feels like they've got their quarterback of the future in Bo Nix, just like Washington thinks they have their quarterback of the future in Jaden Daniels, just the way New England thinks they have their quarterback of the future in Drake May. Yes, I think Jackson Dart is the Giants' quarterback of the future. But I'm with you. I'm a little concerned. With the contact that he takes. I am concerned about that, no question. Rhino, what do you think tonight for the Seattle Seahawks?
I think they're going to have a good night. I think they will handle their business. They were one of my picks this week. They play well on Monday Night Football, so I'm confident. I'm not so confident I'm going to be up when the game's over, but I'm confident.
All right. How
about you?
Well, I think that they are a much better football team. I think Seattle is going to be making a lot of noise here in the second half of the upcoming NFL season. I really do. I think they're going to be making a lot of noise. I think that they are really, really good. And I think when you play defense the way they play defense, you're going to be in every game you play.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that worries me. And you outlined this about the Niners is as you get further into the season, when we get into December, in January, defense is when it really matters, and they're not going to have those guys back.
Well, very good point. They are not going to have them back. Hey, speaking of things that we talk about and don't talk about, you had a very interesting conversation this morning in studio, right?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Waller?
Yeah, Grayson Waller, WWE.
Yeah, so I got to call him
superstar.
Mr. when I don't want him to hurt me, so I have to call him Mr. Waller, okay?
Proper respect. You don't call Ivan Putski Mr. Putski. You call him Ivan.
That's correct. Very true.
But
so that was that had to be pretty awesome for you.
Yeah, no, it was really, really cool of them to come in studio. Unfortunately, because of the AWS outage today, it affected our streaming software. But to spend 15, 20 minutes with Grayson and talk about the state of the WWE, also talk some mainstream sports. He was talking about the tush push because he is an Eagles fan. And we even talked some Kings as well. So that is up on YouTube and X. Go
What's
check
his
it
take
out.
on tush push?
That it's completely fine. Stop it. If you got a problem with it, stop it. And he acknowledges, as an Australian, that it is a semi-rugby play. It comes to it. He goes, hey, this is what cracks me up, Grant. He goes, this is a professional wrestler saying it. He goes, I wouldn't want to be doing it.
I love it. Well, it's an interesting take. I mean, that is very true. You don't like it, stop it. Very true. Hey, I want to talk. Go ahead.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a shoey?
A shoey? No, what's a
Yes.
shoey?
So a shoey is an Australian tradition. It's an Australian welcoming to their culture where you take a cold beer, you take off your hot shoe, you pour the beer into your shoe, you drink it, and then you put your shoe back on.
Wow.
This is a legit thing in Australia.
If I ever have to do that, I hope it's shoes that I just bought 5 minutes earlier.
Right?
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, either way, you're done. You got to put them back on. Nothing worse than having a wet foot.
Yeah. The problem is, in South Florida, particularly for the years after I moved out of Sacramento, I wore flip-flops a lot,
Yeah.
but I never had socks on. So that would not be a very good tasting beer, would it?
No, it would not. But I mean,
Wow.
your beer choice isn't always great tasting either. Just
No,
saying.
stop it. I want to tell you about DAS Mechanical, and a family-owned and operated business since 2018. HVAC retrofit and service specialist. They also do new systems, ideal for homeowners, businesses, for commercial maintenance. And folks, you need to take advantage of something, and I really mean this, because the temperatures it's going to get cold here eventually. And are you ready for that? Are you ready? Well, how about taking advantage of DAS Mechanical's $69 winter maintenance checkup? Yeah, $69 through the end of November. All you got to do is go to dasmechanical.org, D as in dog, A-S as in Sam, mechanical.org. You can book everything online. Spend a moment or two and look at their 5-star reviews and their numerous best of the best awards. And if you happen to need a new HVAC unit, take advantage of rebates up to $6,000, including a $2,000 federal tax credit, but that is due to expire at the end of the year. So you want to take advantage of that now. dasmechanical.org. Again, book online, look at the reviews and everything else. That's dasmechanical.org. Man, I can't believe we're coming up on our final segment already. Right here, the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic. The connector from the westbound side of the Cap City Freeway to Highway 50 before the Central City Junction remains closed until 6 p.m. Got a crash northbound 99 at Sheldon in your right lane with you heavy from Laguna Boulevard. 80 East, slow through Davis with the ride home. Also slower I-5 northbound before and after 50 with your ride home. With twice an hour traffic, I'm KT on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. Who says Mondays have to be boring? At Bennett's, Mondays are made for wine and dine. For just $65, enjoy 2 full entrees, 2 salads, and a bottle of wine. Perfect for date night or dinner with a friend. That's a complete dinner for 2 with wine. Treat yourself to our crave-worthy favorites, like our prawn linguine or short rib with mashed potatoes. Join us this Monday in Roseville, Rockland, or Sacramento. Reserve now at bennettsrestaurants.com. Make Monday the new fun day at Bennett's.
Hey, it's Grant Napear for DAS Mechanical, HVAC retrofit and service specialist. They also do new systems. And now that the calendar has hit October, you're probably not rushing to grab your sweaters and jackets just yet. But before long, it will get chilly. Will your heater work to your satisfaction? Well, right now at DAS Mechanical, they have a $69 pre-winter maintenance checkup. So take advantage of this early by going to dasmechanical.org. That's dasmechanical.org. Whether it's for your home or business, with amazing financing options available, including 0% interest for 18 months. This family-owned and operated business since 2018 will take care of your heating and air needs. Take advantage of this $69 pre-winter maintenance checkup now. Go online, dasmechanical.org. You can schedule online. Look at their 5-star reviews. That's dasmechanical.org.
Homeowners, the 30% federal tax credit for solar and green energy ends December 31st. Let me say that again. The 30% federal tax credit for solar and green energy ends December 31st. If you've been procrastinating about your home's solar addition, stop. Call locally owned Gabroods Services and schedule your solar appointment today. Gabroods is the recognized Northern California specialist for everything electrical, panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, and especially residential solar installation. Gabroods experts do it all, and they do it right the first time. The 30% federal tax credit ends soon. Stop procrastinating. Call Gabroods and schedule your appointment for solar now. Family owned and operated for 30 years. Visit Gabroods.com. Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabroods.com.
Downtown Ford of Sacramento is celebrating the fall by getting you equipped for a winter road trip. And if you're headed up 50 or 80 into those gorgeous Sierras, get there safely in a new or certified pre-owned 4x4 from Downtown Ford. Our lot on Howe Avenue is loaded with super clean pre-owned trucks and SUVs ready for the snow. F-150s, Rangers, Explorers, and the super hot Ford Maverick. And if there's a particular type of vehicle you've dreamed of owning someday, Downtown Ford probably has a used version of that same vehicle for a substantially lower price. Downtown Ford backs our pre-owned vehicles with an available 10-year, 100,000-mile extended service contract. We're the oldest Ford dealership in California, and we're super proud of our heritage of providing great American Ford cars and trucks to the people of Sacramento for more than a century. Visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
All right, final segment here on a busy Monday. 14-0 Lions. Another game coming up later with Seattle and Houston. Speaking of Seattle, the Blue Jays have tied the game in the bottom of the first, and it is a 1-1 with Toronto still batting. All right, we still have some more sound from practice, or are we all wrapped up there?
No, we still have more sound.
Okay, well, let's have it.
Yeah, let's hear from your temporary starting center, Drew Eubanks. I'm actually encouraged to see a little bit more of Drew on the court. The team plays at a little bit more of a higher pace when he's out there. So he was asked today about starting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously starting. I don't see my game really changing too much. I liked how we played the other night in LA. Really just getting the ball facilitating a little bit more, putting a little bit more pressure on the defense, but mainly playing around Dennis, Zach, DeMar, being an outlet for them, picking up the pace a little bit. I know with Domas in, it kind of slows things down. So I just keep playing fast and getting guys open.
You think he wants that back about Domas?
Yeah, I don't. I think what he said and what he meant to say are two different things. Like, I don't think he meant to say that to sound negative.
Yeah.
I think he was just trying to make a point. Probably would have liked to use different words, but I don't disagree with him. I mean, I think there is some truth to that.
Very true.
Yep.
Completely true. They're different players. That's why.
Right.
Completely different players. Of course, Drew was asked to weigh in on Russell Westbrook, and he talked about the feeling in the building change when Russell walked in.
It was like 9 o'clock the other night before we played, or 9 a.m. I was on the table in the treatment room, and he walks in, and he didn't even have to say a word. You could just feel like the energy in the treatment room shift, and he's, talking to the rookies, giving them a bunch of flack, and we go to shoot around. The energy's just different today at practice. Coaches will say something, he'll add on more stuff, and it's like he just commands the room, commands the gym, and I feel like our guys are really going to gravitate towards that.
That sounds exactly like Vince Carter. Those are the same thoughts that I had when Vince Carter walked in to the Sacramento Kings training room and in their practice facility. It was the exact same thing, almost identical. And as great as it was, it did not translate into more wins.
Is there a nuance and understand? I hope you and the listeners can understand the nuance that I'm going to ask about between command when it comes to a Vince Carter who probably is not going to play very many minutes versus somebody like Russ that is in the mindset he's probably going to play a decent amount.
That's a great question. I'm not really sure how to answer that. I think that right now the Kings are talking more about Russell Westbrook on what he's doing off the court than what he's doing on the court. So that could change. I'm very curious to see what the minutes, again, he hasn't been playing, right? So we're talking about a 36, 37 in a couple of weeks has not had basketball work. I mean, working out on your own and playing basketball in a gym with other NBA players is different.
Yeah.
So, like, I can't imagine him playing too much in the first couple of games. Can you?
You know, he did not, and I don't know how long they were scrimmaging. He did not look bad in the scrimmage. In fact, they were picking up full court, and there was one time he tripped somebody up who was guarding him. So I could see him not playing major minutes, but playing significant minutes already.
Well, what's significant?
Anything above 15, would you agree?
I would say above 20 to 20? Me would be significant.
Okay.
And I don't think he's going to play that in the first couple of games because, again, we're not talking about a pup here. We're talking about, an older player who hasn't done much. And I think you have to be concerned about him coming down with an injury.
Very true. It's a very good point. This was something that stands out to me because when Mike Brown was the coach of the Kings last year, we always talked about roles. Well, do these guys know their roles, right? And when Doug Christie became the interim head coach, he lined up every single King across the half-court line and said, this is what your role is going to be on this team. This is what your role is going to be on this team. We had not heard of Doug doing that yet this year. And Drew was asked today about what is the biggest thing that came from camp that has grown, that needed to grow. And he mentions the R word, which I asked the question, well, has Doug given you guys your roles?
Probably just as cliche as it is, just being more connected and getting used to playing with each other and knowing what we want, the looks, the shots that we need. Guys just kind of settling in their roles. I feel like first couple games, we played two run and jump teams in Portland and Toronto, and those are hard teams to play against early on in preseason. But I think just settling in our roles and guys just being comfortable with their identity.
Drew, has Coach Christie gone player by player and talked about each of your roles?
Yeah, we just did that this morning.
No.
So
well, that's good. Go. Everybody needs to know their role. Everybody needs to know what's expected of them because starting on Wednesday, they keep score. First 4 games, no one kept score. We don't care about the score. They're going to start keeping score Wednesday at 7 o'clock Pacific.
I would have loved to be a fly on the wall when Keon Ellis got his role.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Let's hope he plays.
The Kings, to me, again, when I go back to my expectations for this season, it's not having questions about could this person be part of the future. We already know that Keegan Murray is. The extension has been signed, but I'm also staring at Keon Ellis because if you don't play him, if it's inconsistent, that could rub him the wrong way too, Grant.
You think? I would want to be out the door. So, but again, we keep talking about opportunities, injuries. There are a lot of ups and downs during the course of an NBA season.
Yeah.
And we have to be careful not to judge too much too soon.
Agreed. And I'll be interested to see, again, if you go back to last year when Doug was the interim coach, he would ride the hot hand. If something was working, he would not try to fix it or change it. And I wonder if that same approach will be applied to this season with this roster. Because Keon replaced Malik Monk in the starting lineup when Malik got sick. Malik never came back in to the starting lineup.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Lots to unfold here with the Sacramento Kings. And again, we'll be all over it. Don't forget the post-game shows. And that, of course, begins on Wednesday. You can still get in on the show. We've got time today at 916-779-0929, the post-game show over on our YouTube channel. If you don't like that, also simulcast on X. Halftime in Motown, and it is 14-3 in favor of the Lions over the Buccaneers. Baseball still 1-1, top of the second with the Mariners threatening with something I just saw, which I can't believe I actually saw, a sacrifice punt. Wow, what's going on in the world? Amazing. They actually moved 2 runners 90 feet. I can't believe it. Can't freaking believe it. Let's say hello to Mark. Mark, welcome to the show.
Grant, welcome back to Sacramento.
Hey, Mark, thank you very much.
Long time no speak. As you know, I used to work at the arena. We ran into each other numerous times around town, and while you worked, some of the memories back in the day, the Sacramento Kings, obviously, I was honored to work for, 3 owners at the time I worked there. The Thomases were fantastic people, Mr. and Mrs. Thomas, obviously,
Great people.
Yeah, just fantastic. They were the most welcoming people I've ever met. And then we then the Maloofs came in, and I think that was obviously that was the best time for the Sacramento Kings.
Yep.
As far as for the fans and everything else, they were really welcoming as well. They spent the money. Obviously, they ran into financial troubles, and they had to get rid of the King. Sell the team. And but if you remember back in the day, they were the loudest arena in the NBA, and that's what they were known for. The rabid fans. They showed up every night, no matter what the record was, and back in the day, they had a really tough time, I think, with the stigma they had as being farmland and everything else out in the middle of nowhere. And but eventually things started to come around. But we had some really crazy times. We had some players that were really unique. You had obviously White Chocolate. He was a heck of a ball player.
Yes, he
sad
was.
That he didn't play as longer than he did. That they were really entertaining to watch, and people watched the Sacramento Kings because of his leadership on the floor.
Not only in Sacramento, but all over the
did.
country. They were on national TV the maximum number of times.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. He did draw the he did give Sacramento some good publicity.
But in all fairness, the Kings became a better team when they traded him and got Mike Bibby. Mike was great for the Kings. We have to acknowledge that.
Oh yeah, no doubt. That's when the Kings started to soar. They started playing a lot better. But with the crazy things that had happened over the years, Greg Lukenbill, I didn't work for him, but thank God. And you got to give credit to Vivek Ranadive.
Now, why do you say thank God? Greg Lukenbill was great for Sacramento. People loved Greg Lukenbill. He was Sacramento through thick and thin. Why did you say thank God for? He was great to be around.
Well, I know he was good. I didn't work for him, but let's face it. At that time, the Sacramento Kings, they weren't really well. Over the years, if you think about the Sacramento Kings, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the ownership. I don't know if it's the area. It's totally different now, obviously, with the way the money is spent. But we had a stigma. I mean, how many head coaches have the Sacramento Kings had in 40 years? What, 30? About 35, 34?
A lot. But I said that to you based on what you said when you said you didn't work for him and you said thank God. And I'm just saying you shouldn't say that.
Well, no, I didn't mean. No, my next thing was thank God that Vivek Ranadive came in and bought the team. Not that I'm a big fan of Vivek Ranadive, but he saved the Sacramento Kings. He saved them from going to Seattle, and kept them here in Sacramento. And so that was a really big thing for us. I'm not a big fan of him. I'm not a big fan of him as an owner.
Nobody is.
I think we have a stigma. I think with him as an owner, as you can remember when he first came in, this man was talking about. He was trying to tell people how to tell his head coaches how to run an offense. If you remember that back in the day, because he coached his daughter's team.
Yeah, that was a little exaggerated. That was a little exaggerated, but the word is out. Most NBA, not most, I would say, well, yeah, most, the majority, vast majority, not just 51%, understand that the Kings are a very, very poorly run team, and that is not just my opinion. That is coaches' opinions, assistant coaches' opinions, players' opinions, the latest being De'Aaron Fox, and national media members. They're not all wrong.
No, and you know, and I'll say this about Vivek. You know, we've had this discussion. You know, it seems like, you know, he brings in a lot of the Golden State Warriors. It seems like he had this, you know, connection. Obviously, he brought in Mike Brown. He brought in other players as well. But you know, as far as him as an owner, I'm, you know, obviously, I'm not a big fan of his. And I don't know if the Kings are ever going to, you know, get to where they need to go with him as an owner.
They're not.
And I don't see that changing anytime sooner. I don't see that changing, which
Correct.
is sad because there's, you know, this town deserves a championship. But I don't
Well,
see.
not only
I don't
do
know
they
if I'll ever
deserve a
see them as-
championship, you know what they deserve? They deserve a professional franchise. They deserve a team that is capable of going to the playoffs on most seasons, not just once every 2 decades. So the fans deserve a competent run franchise. That's what they deserve. All right. They deserve a professional run basketball team, which unfortunately they have not had. That's what the fans deserve. And that's what the fans are not getting.
Right. Exactly. And, you know, and you know, God love Vlade. And, you know, what I've seen over, you know, since Vivek's ownership, I think he's running with popularity. You know, I don't think, you know, I've got to be careful because I know you're a really good friend of his.
You can say whatever you want. My
He's a great
friendship
man.
with people does not affect my opinions. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you think Vlade was a good general manager? Do you think that was a good choice to bring him in?
I'll tell you, his biggest mistake was not drafting Luka Doncic. But I would also tell you, because I was very privy to everything that was going on when he was the general manager, he was handcuffed on many of the moves that he made. And some of the moves that he really wanted to make that would have been very good for the franchise were not allowed. So there was major interference. And it's the same thing that Monty McNair dealt with. And it's why this Kings team isn't very good year in, year out, because they have too much interference from the owner. So Vlade's biggest mistake, and it will be something that will follow him forever, was he drafted Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic. You can't defend him for that.
Right. Yeah. I know. I just hope, and I don't know, like I said, if it's going to be in my lifetime, if this team ever gets to the NBA championship. I don't see it with this owner. And
forget about the word championship. How about just like a competent team? Forget about championship. I mean, no,
Well,
I'm
that's
serious.
not-
You keep
well,
on using the word
yeah,
championship. There's only one of 30 teams that can win a championship every year. So let's kind of like, can we lower the standard a little bit? How about a competent professional run franchise? How can we start with that, please?
Well, we could agree to disagree. We could agree. I don't think it's going to happen with this ownership.
Well, I agree with you.
Now we're bringing in. We're bringing in players that are, you know, basically at the end of their careers, just taking the money, and that's been happening for the last few years. These guys coming in and just taking money and then moving on. You know, they're not. You know, they're here. They're bringing in these players to help teach the young players. I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, it does help, but you know, the way the players are today with the money that it is today, I don't know how much these players are really listening. You know, but welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm glad you've got your show back.
Thank you.
I'll look forward to listening to you more, and hope to see you around, buddy.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. I would think you could learn a lot from your head coach, who was a heck of a player, and I would think you could learn a lot from Bobby Jackson, who was a heck of a player, and I would think you could learn a lot from Mike Woodson, who was a heck of a player and also a former coach, and I can go on and on. I think this Russell Westbrook and what he could mean for the younger players and everything is fine and dandy, but it's no different than DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine. All right, let's just call it the way it is. I mean, this is just being way overblown. If you are that desperate where you have to bring someone in who is going to be 37 years old in a couple of weeks because of his stature and what it means on a locker room, then that means you're not very good. And it means you're not going to be very good. And it means that, once again, you're focusing your attention on things that really are not the priority. And the priority is winning. All right? It's just, everything's backwards here. And you're going to now limit the minutes from Keon Ellis. I just don't get it. It just does not make sense to me. I said it last week when it was announced that Russell Westbrook was coming to Sacramento, and I'm going to say it now. And when I hear these comments, it does not make any sense to me. Sean Salisbury tomorrow. On Wednesday, Steve Weish, Joe Klein to talk about the Kings' 40th anniversary. All right, can't wait. We've got a lot going on. NFL, we've got the Game 7 from Toronto, the Kings, all here. The Grant Napear Show. Have a good one, everybody. And remember, the first hour is going to be replayed next on Fox Sports Sacramento. Bye-bye now.
After the mildest summer in decades, the fall is here. It's time for back to school, football, and wearing sweats around the house. And for homeowners, the end of summer means it's time to call Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort to schedule a heating and air system inspection. With California's insane energy prices, it's critical to make sure your system is running efficiently. Sierra Pacific's heating and air techs will thoroughly inspect and tune up your system so it runs like new. And if you own an older home, Sierra Pacific does complete HVAC system replacements. And if the cost of a new heating and air system for the house seems out of reach, Sierra Pacific offers flexible financing options so that you can start enjoying the benefits of your new heating and air system this winter. Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort. SierraPacificHome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air. The guys in the big red trucks.
Hey, come on in.
Hi, Jack. In our subdivision?
Yeah, I saw your Suburban out front, so I thought I'd see how your kitchen and bath remodel was going.
We're delayed.
Oh, watch your step.
Waiting on subs.
Contractors?
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't go with Kitchen Mart?
No, why?
Nothing. That's just why we went with Kitchen Mart. They don't use subs.
No subs? No subs?
You know, with the exception of something very specialized, Kitchen Mart does everything in-house so they can finish on time and on budget. So your cabinets, countertops, plumbing, drywall, electric, and your contractor pulled permits, right? That's the law.
Was he supposed to?
Well, you mean supposed to?
What'd I say?
Sub.
Sub?
Sub.
Remodeling your kitchen or bath? 20,000 ecstatic customers agree. No subs means Kitchen Mart's in-house designers, craftsmen, and installers do it right and finish on time and on budget. Kitchen Mart, with 2 showrooms in Sacramento and Rockland. Call 362-7080 or go to kitchenmart.net for a free home appointment.
Kitchen and bath, no one does it better than Kitchen Mart.
The most trusted name in kitchen and bath remodeling since 1976.
Ready to turn your idle equipment into cash? Purple Wave Auction is your solution. We specialize in no-reserve online auctions, bringing nationwide buyers to your doorstep. From excavators to dozers, we'll market your assets to a vast audience of eager buyers. No hauling required. We photograph and list your equipment where it sits. Experience our transparent and simple process with expert support. Join successful sellers who trust Purple Wave. Visit purplewave.com today to learn how easy selling can be.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. That's 800-598-0539.
Remember, always be generous with the nutmeg. Just eyeball it.
Okay.
Mom's wisdom has served you well, but now it may be your turn to guide her.
Hey, I'm worried about Mom. She keeps forgetting her famous sweet potato pie recipe.
Some things come with age, sis.
And some don't.
Knowing the early signs of Alzheimer's in a loved one will help you make the best decisions for your family. Visit 10signs.org to learn the signs. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Grant's back. Join the conversation every weekday afternoon beginning at 3 p.m. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento. Hear Grant Napear every weekday beginning at 3 right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Grant's back, and here to win. It's the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Radio Sacramento. Now, Grant Napear.
What a week. What a week we have, and what a way to get it started. A doubleheader in Monday Night Football, Game 7, with the M's and the J's from TO. Yes, basketball, the NBA begins tomorrow. The Kings on Wednesday in Phoenix. Got a little bit